In the silent night, the full moon shone down on the small village. In the narrow long corridor, hurried footsteps echoed along with a scream. Julia frantically flung open the door. She shouted inside. What was going on? Meanwhile, Ruth let out a growl from inside the throat. Treatment. Only one of his legs began to deform in a terrifying way. The pain drove Ruth nearly mad. He could not endure it and cried out, "I need a healer." The scene shifted back a few hours earlier. On a street, Ruth walked with heavy steps. His body gradually collapsed, his hand clutching the wound. After a while, Ruth smiled brightly. "It is a village. I am saved. Ruth Taker, adventurer of the land of Azul people." He gnashed his teeth, his heart filled with anger. Those disgusting black-maned wolves, I knew they would move in packs, but... That scene etched deeply into Ruth's mind. He shivered unconsciously. I thought they only moved in numbers of a few. Thinking of this, Ruth grew even more furious. How the hell could there be as many as 30 of them? They were already difficult to deal with. Yet they attacked me in a pack. There was no way to resist them. At that moment, the dull pain from the wound surged again. He squinted ahead. I need to be treated first. Should I borrow money from the Adventurers Guild? Scene shifted to the Adventurers Guild. The female staff handed out a stack of papers while reminding, "This is your payment confirmation." She continued in a gentle voice, "The amount you borrowed will be deducted from your future reward. You know you can also pay separately, right?" After a while, she let her eyes wander over Ruth. "Your condition looks quite bad. You should go recover," he replied instinctively. Yes, inwardly he thought, of course, I must recover. In that moment, Ruth swiftly passed by a figure. He ignored it and kept groaning, too dizzy. Out on the street, Ruth could not help worrying. Will I die before I crawl to the church? Just then, a voice suddenly called from behind. "Excuse me." Song Hyen stared at him and spoke. "It seems you are in need of a healer, right?" He smiled lightly and spoke with a hidden meaning. "You do not need to go that far." The moment he saw Song Hyen, Ruth raised a question mark. Who is he? He only placed his hand on his chest and promised, "Let me heal you at a favorable price." Song Hyen continued sincerely, "You can pay me after you are treated." On this side, Ruth put on a wary face. "Sounds suspicious." He raised his voice to question, "At least show me your healer badge first." Because being a healer, that is the reason the healer badge was created. It is a special skill granted by the Adventurers Guild. Ruth spun in his thoughts. There were even some people who did not know how to present their real healer badge. He began to lose patience. "What are you doing? Show me your badge." After a moment of silence, Song Hyen replied nonchalantly, "I told them I could not heal, so they never gave it to me at all." Ruth cursed inwardly, "Disgusting bastard." He turned and walked straight away, then sighed wearily. "You do not know how to heal, yet you are a healer. What a fool." At that moment, Song Hyen's gaze slowly dropped. He suddenly spoke, as the wound was caused by claws. Song Hyen brazenly followed behind and continued, "They seem to be quite strong. Look at you in such a wreck." He kept rambling on under the night sky. "The wound is still fresh, so you must have been injured nearby just recently." Ruth was momentarily bewildered. "What?" Suddenly Song Hyen made a guess. "But the wound on your right arm is from a black-maned wolf, is it not?" At this point, he continued, shifting his attention to the wound. "And it seems your ankle was also hurt from scraping against a piece of wood." Hearing this, Ruth turned back involuntarily. He could not help but feel a bit surprised. How does he know all of that? Song Hyen smiled faintly. "Even if I do not have a badge, I still heal people to make a living." He focused his thoughts and made a calculation. "If you go to find a priest, you will have to pay around 600,000 gold. But an adventurer healer only charges 300,000 gold. So," Ruth interjected with discontent, "what do you mean?" Song Hyen quickly cut in. "Only 150,000 gold. That is all the money you need to spend for me to help you." He clicked his tongue. This guy is definitely a scammer. Ruth did not care and turned away. He muttered, "Do not live such a life anymore, swindler." Song Hyen then spoke to Ruth. "Will you really refuse? You cannot be healed by a healer's method anyway." Ruth answered with irritation. What the hell are you talking about? Before he left, Song Hyun whispered softly, it will hurt a lot. He did not forget to remind me, if it hurts while you are resting, come find me. I will be at the inn over there. Ruth cast a worried look at Song Hyun. We are even staying at the same inn. He is crazy. I should stay away from him. At the church, Carnell was diligently healing Ruth. The cut on his hand healed at the same time. He clasped his hands together, his voice sounding softly, with the power of Lord Ivor. I have been completely healed. The treatment fee is 620,000 gold. Hearing this, Ruth's face stiffened. Carnell prayed sincerely. Lord Ivor, please protect this adventurer from misfortunes in the future. He replied in a low voice, thank you. Stepping outside, Ruth relaxed his neck. He could not help but remark, priests are really expensive, but they certainly work very effectively. Ruth kept brainwashing himself inwardly. I do not feel completely well, but I will probably get better soon. That night, Ruth let out a terrified cry. His foot suddenly glowed red. Ruth stared panic-stricken at the wound. His mouth could not help but emit a groan. The pain made him sob loudly, his heart growing even more bewildered. What the hell is this? Immediately after, Ruth writhed and rolled to the ground. He screamed, my leg, call the healer here, quickly. Julia ran over in a panic. Wait. Ruth clenched his palms. He wore a look of horror. I was already treated by an expensive priest, so why? At that moment, Ruth froze. Wait, earlier. Song Hyun's voice suddenly rang in his ear. You cannot be healed by a healer's method. If it hurts while you are resting, come find me. Thinking of this, Ruth hurriedly looked up at Julia. Other healers did not work. He said he would be here, the person who could not heal. As soon as the words ended, he gritted his teeth. At least tell me your name. Just then, Song Hyun slowly stepped forward. I told you it would hurt a lot. Luckily, you are here. He looked straight into Ruth's eyes and introduced himself. The healer who does not know how to heal is present. After that remark, Song Hyun eagerly came closer. Very happy to see you again. He signaled, Miss Julia, let me handle this. She nodded slightly. Okay, thank you. After a while, Song Hyun bent down. So do you feel better after receiving an expensive treatment? Ruth angrily cursed. Are you blind or what? Are you really a healer? At that moment Ruth began to moan pitifully. It hurts so much I could die. Do something to help me. Song Hyun casually snapped his fingers. 300,000 gold. Please pay in advance. At the same time, he suddenly shouted in alarm. 300,000 gold what? Seeing this, Song Hyun immediately stood up. Ah, never mind. You probably do not need it after all. Ruth retorted, but you said 150,000 gold, so why is it double the price now? He glanced at his legs and then spoke, because the situation has become 3 times worse than before. After saying that, Song Hyun turned around. If you find it expensive, call another healer. He quickly grabbed the hem of his shirt. My sword? You can keep my sword. Ruth said in a hurried tone, that is all I can pay right now. Is that okay? You will earn at least 200,000 gold from that sword. Ruth said in a hurried tone, that is all I can pay right now. Is that okay? You will earn at least 200,000 gold from that sword. Hearing this, Song Hyun tilted his head to observe. 200,000 for this then? He sneered. It looks like it has been well cared for. You cherish this sword a lot. After a moment, Song Hyun said, then I will heal you for 200,000 gold this time. Witnessing the scene, Ruth was almost stunned. The sword had vanished. He nodded instinctively. Thank you. Finally, Song Hyun's gaze slowly moved. Now, let us see, Ruth panikedly asked. Will I die from this? He tapped Ruth's leg lightly. If you could die from this, then I would have kidnapped you and healed you already. Song Hyun leaned back in his chair. He continued in a low voice, you see, there are things that cannot be healed. One of them is poison. As soon as the words ended, his brain seemed to be awakened by a clunk. Ruth mouthed, poison. Suddenly, Song Hyun threw something forcefully toward Ruth. Here, drink this. He quickly took it, his eyes showing confusion. What is this? He immediately explained, the black sour berry, The leaves and stem contain poison that can cause paralysis when you are scratched by it. Song Hyan did not forget to remind, and this is why black-maned wolves often live around these trees. Before Ruth's horrified eyes, he hoarsely spoke. Driving prey into these trees will render the prey immobile, convenient for their hunting. He involuntarily shuddered, so my leg. Immediately after, Ruth lost his composure and struggled. No, you mean I will be paralyzed from now on? Healer, please save me. Do something to help me. In contrast to him, Song Hyan calmly replied, actually. He gently placed the vial of crystals on the table and emphasized, there is still one way. After a long moment, Ruth's body trembled violently. He choked out, "Oh Lord." Ruth shakily raised his hand to touch the knife. "What are you planning to do with that?" Song Hyan calmly explained, "This antidote needs to be poured directly onto the wound." Right after, he began to complain, "I also want to heal without having to touch too much. But I do not know who, but someone already did a very good job treating you, so." Finally Song Hyan spoke lightly, "The only way left is to cut the wound open." Ruth softly replied, "Yes, you are right." He suddenly changed his tone. "As I said before, I cannot perform healing, not because I do not want to, but because I cannot." Song Hyan smiled faintly, "I do not have painkillers, so just scream as loud as you can." Hearing this, Ruth cried out in panic, "Wait, I am not ready yet." Before he could react, Song Hyan decisively poured the medicine. "This will be worse if you move," he thought inwardly. That is normal when a healer carries out treatment. But Song Hyan continued to open the second bottle. He stared at Ruth's leg. Once again, endure it or pass out. Deep inside, Song Hyan could not help but wonder, but can everything stay normal forever? If I cannot carry out healing, I can try anything I want. 3 years ago, when Song Hyan opened his eyes, he was in a strange cave. Song Hyan had also been given a new profession. He panicked, staring at the virtual screen. I have seen this scene many times before, and there were also monsters appearing everywhere. In that moment, Song Hyan quickly grabbed a stick to defend himself. Wizards began to appear everywhere he went. Suddenly, the system screen lit up. Your profession is a healer, as the light shone directly on his face. Song Hyan was momentarily bewildered. Healer. It seemed this was not Earth, and I am in another world, but the fortunate thing is, he was not the only one from Earth dragged here. Voices of discussion kept echoing. What should we do? Now we need to find a way to return home. The female student looked doubtful. We have only just begun. How can you already think about going back? The person beside her burst out laughing. I knew it, I like being here. Another person could not hold back and shouted, I need to return as soon as possible, I still have a family. Meanwhile, Song Hyan showed a bored expression. This situation looks too much like a fantasy story, especially. This a status window appeared right before Song Hyan. In this space, Song Hyan's new identity was healer. He continued to be confused, but what is that question mark at the end? Right at that moment, a woman stood up. She spoke in a hoarse voice. She is right, we must find a way to survive. The woman spoke with determination. Although the monsters are terrifying, if we cooperate together, defeating them will not be that difficult. Each of you has already received your profession and skills right. As her words ended, Song Hyan's eyes lit up along with the light skills. Skill window. The first was cut anything with a sharp object. He immediately dismissed not this one. Next was Lord of Language. Automatically translate all languages. Song Hyan once again refused. No, not that. Finally was the Eye of Observation. Observe everything with your eye. He quickly swiped past. This one is not it either. Song Hyan suddenly froze. What the hell is this? He stared at the frame with a puzzled look. His profession was definitely healer, but there was no healing skill. Returning to reality, the sunlight of dawn gradually shone. At the same time, Song Hyan carefully wiped away the remaining blood. He calmly looked at Ruth's leg. All right, it is done. The wound will heal quickly, but please do not walk for 2 to 3 days. Meanwhile, he could not hold back his tears. I am still alive. Ruth only nodded repeatedly like a pecking chicken. He kept expressing gratitude. Thank you. If it were not for you, I would have died. Song Hyun smiled faintly. I told you this illness is not fatal. As he said this, his eyes slowly moved down to Ruth's leg. Oh, the wound seems better already. Can I do this without healing abilities? He awkwardly scratched his head. I am sorry for cursing you yesterday and even calling you a fraud. Song Hyun gave a faint smile, his deep voice calm. It is all right. I have heard many times already. I am used to those who would believe a healer without healing ability. Ruth's gaze lingered on that patient demeanor and gentle smile. He had a broad, kind heart. Just then Song Hyun narrowed his eyes, the corner of his lips curling into a strange smile. It is also amusing to see those who said such things beg me to save them. That is the reason I took this profession. Those words once again made the atmosphere awkward. Ruth gave a foolish smile. Forget that kind heart. I misjudged him. At the Bitspol restaurant, the group of customers chatted lively. At that moment, Song Hyun spoke slowly. Miss Julia, please give me one meal. She quickly replied, got it. Mr. Kang, one meal. As soon as he sat down, he began to ponder, should I write a journal while waiting for food? After coming to this world, I developed a new habit. The place where Song Hyun was dragged to was full of monsters and deadly contamination everywhere. A place very difficult to survive, called the continent of Azul. Therefore, to find a way back to Earth, he recorded the daily events. Just then Julia's groan accidentally woke Song Hyun. She panicked, holding tightly to her bleeding finger. Outside, he excitedly shook the vial of medicine. The meal was all finished. We should try it right. As soon as the thought ended, Song Hyun absorbed it. The absorption skill activated, and the blood vial was absorbed. He looked straight up at the sky and grunted. Then distributed. The distribution skill activated. The health of targets around the distribution area was restored. Song Hyun smiled faintly. Very good, right? I can also use it on patients. It is much better than just giving them medicine. Immediately Song Hyun tightened the vial. A beam of light shot out. At that moment Rick accidentally bumped into him. The whole man fell to the ground before Song Hyun's calm eyes. Instantly Rick drew his sword. That scoundrel, who are you? He bewilderedly raised his hand. I am sorry, Rick growled. Do you think just apologizing is enough? He nearly went mad. You suddenly attacked me? Song Hyun slightly shrugged. I already restored all your stamina. Hearing this, Rick was momentarily stunned. He kept feeling his body. Then Rick quickly approached. He smiled faintly. Oh my, you are a healer. Rick laughed boisterously. I have never seen such a skill before, so I do not know. Well, I live in the countryside. Song Hyun nodded briefly. I understand. His heart began to grow curious. How did you know the healer skill had come here? A silence passed. Then Rick's voice warmed, then healed. Maybe this is fate. Do you want to join us? Song Hyun squinted and asked back, an adventuring party. He answered quickly, yes, we are recruiting healers. If you join us, we will become a 4-person team, a perfect number for a squad. Hearing this, Song Hyun continued to ask, what is the team's mission? Rick smugly boasted, we will hunt rare monsters. He could not hide his curiosity and continued, what is the reward for the mission? He held up 2 fingers and smiled. 1.2 million gold. As soon as the words ended, Song Hyun paused. The reward was pretty good. He sneered, and there is no healer in any of their teams. Should I join them? Scene shifted to the Adventurers Guild. Inside, Furiel was on guard. Then, healer, can you show us your ability first? Marbello replied quickly without hesitation. Of course. He cast magic with one hand, his mouth curling slightly. I am capable of being the only healer in the team. In front of a large building, said to be the Adventurers Guild. Inside, Furiel's group cast wary glances forward. At the same time, Song Hyun placed his hand on Rick's shoulder, who still had not recovered. He softly called his name, Mr. Rick. Song Hyun stared straight at the group before him and questioned, you said that including me there would only be 4 people. The atmosphere suddenly grew tense. Rick awkwardly replied, I think that at the same time we also invited another healer. Song Hyan and Marbello glared at each other like lifelong enemies. After a brief silence, Rick shouted loudly, "You have heard about the mission, right? The reward is 1.2 million gold coins, so the more people we have, the smaller each share will be. Are you two fine with that?" At the same time, Martello and Song Hyan accidentally spoke in unison, "Fine." Hearing this, he glanced sideways. It seems he has no intention of backing down. Could it be that he is also after the same thing as me? Seeing this, Furiel immediately stepped forward. He politely greeted, "Very good, then let us work together." "I am Furiel," he replied shortly without hesitation. "Kang Song Hyan." On the other side, Martello instantly showed his attitude. His gaze looked as if he wanted to devour him alive. After a moment, the tip of Song Hyan's shoe pressed firmly into the grass. Meanwhile, Furiel's group and Rick eagerly advanced deeper into the forest. Henry let out a hearty laugh. "I feel reassured that we have two healers." In contrast, Marbello wore a resentful expression. "Bastard, I will not forgive you for this." Hours earlier, he had stepped forward, his tone confident as if boasting. "In short, I can use primary or even intermediate healing spells, blessing, divine shield, first aid, detoxification, recovery, resurrection, cleansing light, light arrow, and many other divine skills. That is all." The group's eyes lit up when they heard, exclaiming excitedly, "Amazing, such a talented healer." Rick turned expectantly toward Song Hyan. "And what about you?" He raised his hand in a strange gesture. A strange light flashed. Then he tilted his head with a smile. "I can do this." The whole group cried out in unison. "What is that?" Returning to reality, Martello gnashed his teeth in fury. "That arrogant bastard. How dare he use a trick I have never even heard of?" The air fell silent for a moment. Then Song Hyan suddenly stepped forward. "So what is our target monster?" The reply came curtly, "Sewer rat." Sewer rat monsters live everywhere across the continent of Azul. As soon as the words fell, Furiel laughed with excitement. "I did not know that among those sewer rats there was a rare kind. 1.2 million gold coins for that rat." Amid the cheerful laughter, Song Hyan's face darkened. He growled, "What?" Song Hyan could not help but doubt. "You have never hunted a rare monster before?" Furiel calmly replied, "Right, we have never seen one." Rick added, "Me neither." His eyes shifted toward Martello, who awkwardly answered, "I have only been a healer for less than a year." Hearing that, Song Hyan immediately offered an idea. "We need to prepare a lot of potions to fight a rare monster. Let's return to the village to get ready." Furiel showed a troubled look. "Return when we have come this far. Forget it. It is only a sewer rat." Martello immediately lashed out. "You did not bring enough potions. That is your responsibility. If you are that scared, you can leave." Without hesitation, Song Hyan exhaled and nodded, "I am leaving." The atmosphere grew tense. The group's eyes shifted. Furiel stepped forward with a warning. "Are you sure? Do not change your mind later." Once again he nodded. "I am sure you will lose, but I can help you afterwards." With that, Song Hyan raised 3 fingers. "Perfect. Now each of you will get 300,000 gold coins." He then turned and scolded Rick. "Where did you find that kind of person?" Rick grew flustered. "But I—" At the same time, Martello excitedly waved. "Take care." He then sneered, "Running away just because of a sewer rat? Then I will take that instead, the rare item." After a while, Furiel's gaze fixed on a point. He spoke in a low voice. "Found it." The group's eyes shifted at once. The rat worth 1.2 million gold coins. At the same time, Martello quickly stepped outside, trying to reassure, "Do not worry about your stats." Furiel slowly nodded. "Fine then." Weapons were immediately raised. A roar echoed across the land. "Charge!" On the other side, the sewer rat instantly sensed something amiss. In that moment, Furiel leapt high into the air, slashing his sword down with force. Die! As the blade pierced downward, rocks and dirt scattered everywhere. When the smoke gradually cleared, Furiel looked around in confusion. Where did it go? Elsewhere, the sewer rat had already closed in on Henry. She turned slowly, her eyes filled with terror. Right then it raised its head and unleashed an earth-shattering roar. Back with Martello, unease filled him. What is this light? My mana is draining so fast. Across from him Furiel shouted in panic, Healer, are you all right? Martello answered quickly, I am fine, hurry up. Rings of holy light spread outward, chants resounded. I will grant you an attack buff, blessing. Suddenly Martello's face darkened. In that instant the group's bodies trembled. Henry stared straight ahead in horror. What is that? From all directions sewer rats rushed out, tearing into her body. Furiel cursed beside her. Damn it, Henry. Chaos erupted. Martello's vision dimmed. Absurd. Did we lose this fast? In a corner Rick turned and ran on all fours. Seeing this he cursed angrily. Coward. He is running away alone. Martello gasped. I am out of mana too. At the same moment Rick's body darted toward a dark pit. He shut his eyes tight and screamed, sorry, in the next life I will save you. But in his final instant a thought flashed through Martello's mind, mixed with confusion. Why is he taking that path? Just like him, Rick could not shake a feeling of doubt. I definitely ran away. Have we fallen into a trap? From behind a small rat lunged at him. Martello screamed in despair. Damn it, damn. Right then the sound of shattering glass rang out. Along with it came a familiar voice. So you failed after all. I knew this would happen. Hearing this Martello froze, his eyes fixed on the figure before him. At that moment Song Hyen continued. You should have thought of this earlier. He stepped outside, eyes gleaming with mockery. Who would hand you a fortune just for a rat? Song Hyen smiled. I will charge 500,000 gold coins each. At the same time, the sewer rats vaguely sensed the pressure radiating from Song Hyen. Amid the chaos, Martello's ragged breath echoed. Kang Song Hyen, why are you here? He ignored the need to explain and continued with a stern face. They will attack us immediately. Saying this, Song Hyen suddenly turned back. Martello, you once said you knew how to use the shield of the Lord, did you not? His eyes darkened, resentment welling up. That is right. But I have no mana left. I have no recovery potions either. Song Hyen let out an exclamation. He is insane. A weary voice followed. Then all you need is mana. Immediately the absorption skill was activated. Mana absorption potion. Distribution skill activated. And increased potion effect by 30% due to distribution. Suddenly Song Hyen thrust his hand toward Martello. In that instant his eyes widened. My mana is being restored by a skill, a mana recovery skill. A voice suddenly echoed in Martello's ears. Do you think it is possible? You need mana to use skills. That is nonsense. The voice hammered into his head. Do not allow yourself to take the easy path. The only being capable of such a thing is a great god. The thought flashed through and Martello's gaze fixed on Song Hyen. His whole body trembled. His voice choked. What the hell are you? Song Hyen blinked in confusion. What? Martello burst out in a shaky voice, mixed with fear and reverence. Lord Ivor, Lord Frika. Agreed. Incarnation of evil. Sheol. Then suddenly he collapsed. This lowly life is too crude for you. Song Hyen grew even more bewildered. What is wrong with him? Back with Martello, he nearly shouted, Lord Ivor, I swear to you, I will never tell anyone about what I saw today. Song Hyen stared at him with a tired look. This child, if I told him the truth, I think he might faint from shame. After a while, the sewer rats lowered their heads, sniffing the ground. Immediately after they charged toward the 3 corpses lying there. Seeing this, Martello rushed forward, firmly kicking out, Begone. Martello raised both hands forward. He cast magic with both hands, his voice trembling. Merciful God, great Ivor, please grant me this wondrous power if you permit. Immediately after, Martello thrust his hands forward. Shield of the Lord. Meanwhile, Song Hyen frowned as he glanced over, so he made everything up to make it seem better. At that moment, Martello knelt to the ground. Great Lord, I did it. Song Hyen let out a faint chuckle. Do whatever you want, and do not bother me. He nodded quickly in reply. Yes, my lord. On the other side, Song Hyen twisted his arm. Then he decisively punched the sewer rat. You too. The reason this quest is worth 1.2 million is because of this trap. Song Hyan's eyes quickly swept across the foul-smelling rats. Domination, the special skill of a rare monster that can gather its kin and control them. If adventurers panic and try to flee, it traps them in a small dungeon with the power of a ruler of space. Thinking of this, Song Hyan sneered. That is why I prepared pesticide in this world. Instantly, he drew out 10-roll peppermint extract. Song Hyan swirled the essence around his hand while lunging forward. 10-roll peppermint can kill even small animals instantly, although this amount is not enough to kill hundreds of rats. Distribution skill activated. His body leapt high. The hand holding the dagger slashed hard. He smiled faintly. It will be different with distribution skill, and now their defenses are weak. Song Hyan grabbed tightly onto the sewer rat's fur. Seizing the chance, he drove the dagger deep. The pain made it howl miserably. Rage overcame reason, and the rat twisted to attack Song Hyan. The surroundings shook once more. He gnashed his teeth. This damned rat. Suddenly, the rat slammed its head against the ground. In that instant, Song Hyan sprawled on the floor. He looked up blankly at the sewer rat. Domination again. Unlike Song Hyan, who was close to death, Martello was kneeling flat on the ground, trembling, hands clasped, lips muttering, the faith of a man who worships Ivor. Forgive me for believing in Ivor. I should not disturb him. He ordered not to disturb him. After a long while he lifted his head, lips barely moving. These rats. From the other side, Song Hyan was engulfed by the horde. Seeing the dire situation, Martello cried out in panic, "Oh great lord, I will use it." Song Hyan suddenly growled, "No, recovery distribution. Restoring health with the effect of the recovery potion. The recovery will last for a certain period of time." He could not help but sigh inwardly. My stats are stable now. I should take care of it before the effect of the potion ends. Immediately after, Song Hyan turned around, trying to break free. At that moment, one of them lunged forward and bit hard into his leg. It did not let go but continued gnawing at his ankle. The pain made him instinctively grip its fur tightly. Song Hyan furiously swung his dagger at the sewer rat. His body was hurled far away without mercy. System notification. Abnormal status bleeding. Bitten by monster. Recovery potion effect has been cancelled. Song Hyan sighed softly. Bleeding at a time like this again. He looked ahead and smiled. This rare monster is clever, then immediately used the bleeding control skill. Meanwhile, the sewer rat slowly turned, the air around reeking with killing intent. He stood bewildered. What? The system screen lit up. Domination, you have been affected by a debuff skill. Damage and mana consumption will be doubled. Song Hyan looked weary. Domination, huh? This thing hit me with too many negative effects. If you think of draining the opponent's mana until they run out so they cannot use skills anymore. Suddenly, the sewer rat lunged at him, roaring fiercely. Seeing this, Song Hyan calmly said, "But do you know?" He swiftly slid past its body, lips curling into a grin. "I do not use mana." In a flash, Song Hyan swung his dagger, slicing deep across the sewer rat's throat. The dagger in Song Hyan's hand was lodged firmly into the sewer rat's throat. Right after that, he decisively pulled it out with force. Its body immediately collapsed to the ground. After a while, Song Hyan carefully moved his ankle slightly. His limbs were still intact, and his ankle was fine. After a moment of tension, he exhaled. "I thought I was dead for sure." At that moment, the screen began to light up. Achievement completed. Rare one-on-one. Achievement completed by hunting a rare monster alone. Next is receiving the reward. Seeing this, Song Hyan smiled leisurely. Finally, it was done, truly worthy of the effort spent. At the same time, Martello raised both hands. "Oh, great lord." Hearing this, he burst out laughing, almost ruined it. Luckily, that fool cancelled the healing spell halfway. Song Hyan was almost stunned by the unusual scene. Even the reward is a spin. Then suddenly the system notification. You have obtained a new skill. Throw. Throw accuracy is 100%. Throw damage plus 100%. Increased effect plus 25%. Song Hyen narrowed his eyes slightly. An offensive skill. I was hoping for something better. Huh, wait, increased effect. His eyes narrowed, a trace of surprise mixed with excitement. Then if I throw a poison with 1% chance of instant death, it will rise to 26%. Then Song Hyen slightly frowned. But what is this? Suddenly Martello rushed outside. Great Lord! He quickly glanced around. Martello, you did well. His eyes clearly lit up. It is all thanks to your tolerance that we could survive. I will keep this secret until the end of my life. Song Hyen hurriedly changed the subject, forgot about this, and woke everyone up. Hearing this, Martello softly replied, All right. He slowly spread his arms while casting magic, resurrection. Immediately their bodies began to move. Henry staggered to his feet. At the same time, Furiel groaned softly. What happened? Suddenly the sewer rat stuck out its tongue and licked Furiel's hand. He screamed in fright. What the hell is this? At that moment Song Hyen moved close to him. Did you sleep well? Furiel trembled and spoke. What is going on? Were you the one who killed it? He replied helplessly. Then what do you think? That it died of old age? Hearing this, Furiel was filled with confusion. Had he really defeated that monster by himself? A long silence followed. Song Hyen gave a faint smile. 300,000 gold coins each. Thanks in advance. Do you remember what I said earlier? He nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, we will pay. Suddenly he moved toward the corpse of the sewer rat. The group stared blankly at Song Hyen's steps. He pressed the blade against its neck. One more thing. Song Hyen grinned. This is what I was aiming for. He turned his gaze toward the gem. I will take this. After a while, the bag of gold was placed right in front of Song Hyen. He spoke awkwardly. Now I feel a bit embarrassed. Furiel quickly shook his head. It is all right. We are very grateful to you for saving everyone's life. Song Hyen continued, but I found this quest thanks to you. Let me buy you something to drink then. Henry sighed softly. We will return to the village tomorrow, so I think drinking now would be a bit difficult. Hearing this, Song Hyen asked doubtfully. Their eyes met. Furiel spoke up in confirmation. All three of us are from one village. After saying that, he let out a heavy breath. We almost had a mass funeral just because we tried to earn a little money, so we will not be adventurers anymore. He nodded in agreement, his eyes showing a trace of bitterness. That is right. An adventurer can quickly earn a pile of money, but along with that comes equally great risk. Furiel lowered his head slightly, his voice soft as if wanting to end the story. We will go now. Treat us to a drink next time if we have the chance to meet again. Song Hyen politely waved. What a pity. After a brief silence, he curiously looked over. And you, Martello, replied innocently. I do not know how to drink. Finally Song Hyen spoke in a calm voice. Then from now on let us pretend we do not know each other. I will do the same. He answered quickly without hesitation. Yes, great lord. Surely you are hiding your identity. In Martello's heart, a heavy thought crept into every breath. I am still not good enough. I need to train myself more before I can join the true adventure of the great god. Behind him, Song Hyen was filled with concern. Did I just turn an ordinary person into a lunatic? Then he sighed helplessly. Forgetting it, what can I do? Song Hyen's gaze shifted to the crystal in his hand. Now let's examine this item. The wooden sign hanging on the wall bore the familiar words, Treasure Appraisal. A loud and formal voice rang out, as if recited by heart. Welcome to the Treasure Appraisal Shop of the Adventurers Guild. Items obtained from monsters are sealed in the form of a crystal, so you can only use the item when we unseal it. At this moment Song Hyen replied shortly, I am here to appraise this. The man carefully examined it. Let's see. He slowly touched the object. Suddenly every movement slowed down. The man's eyes widened in shock. At the same time Song Hyen narrowed his eyes. Was it better than he expected? The man suddenly held the pearl tightly. I will begin right away. Suddenly a beam of light appeared between them. The man's eyes narrowed. After a long moment he loudly declared, It is done. A grade C treasure. It is the beauty of a small life. Hearing this, Song Hyan asked in confusion. Grade C. The man nodded in confirmation. Yes, it is about 80,000 gold coins, but if you sell it at our shop, I can pay you 120,000 gold coins. He ignored it and took out a vial of solution. Immediately Song Hyan decisively poured it onto the pearl, and the man looked bewildered. What are you doing? On the tray the pearl remained intact. On this side he gently shook the vial, his voice steady. Latasia elixir, it is very famous in the north. A substance that reacts when it comes into contact with blood. This is the knife I used to kill that rare monster, the man replied shakily. Is that so? Why are you telling me this? At this point Song Hyan's tone changed. It looks clean because I washed it, but it still has blood on it, only invisible to the eye. So with something taken from the body of a monster, it should react even more strongly than the knife, should it not? Song Hyan sneered, unless someone. At that moment he suddenly grabbed the man's head tightly. Song Hyan calmly slammed the man's head hard against the table, his voice pressing with emphasis. It had been switched. Then a tremendous explosion erupted. The glass vials containing chemical solutions shattered under the impact. The one-eyed man clutched his face in agony, screaming wildly. Trembling, he looked at Song Hyan. You are making a mistake. We are inside the Adventurers Guild facility. If I report this... Suddenly Song Hyan seemed to recall something and let out a short exclamation. He cruelly pressed the one-eyed man's head against the floor. Thank you for reminding me. The man, still terrified, groaned in pain as Song Hyan lifted his head again. To his astonishment, Song Hyan cast a spell, and at the same time the system announced, Skill-activated blood control. Like a devil, Song Hyan spoke. It seems I forgot to introduce myself. The one-eyed man realized something was wrong. The bleeding stopped. Could it be that he is? Song Hyan introduced himself. I am healer Kang Song Hyan. The one-eyed man, hair pulled painfully, cried out for help. People often whispered a story. There is a saying across the continent of Azul. If you are planning to cheat a healer, you had better not get caught. For there are two types of healers carrying treasures. One is extremely strong. The other is a madman who hunts monsters for fun. Both are truly healers. After being bandaged, the one-eyed man reflected, beating the enemy to the brink of death, then healing them only to beat them again. Yet I did not sense any holy power from him. Song Hyan examined the gem in his hand and asked, So this is really a B+ treasure? The one-eyed man confirmed, a B+ treasure, and the ring of mental focus ranks at grade A. It is valued at about 6.2 million gold coins. Song Hyan's gaze darkened with hostility toward him, and he tried to buy it for 120,000 gold coins. Should I kill him? Then he wondered, why is this thing so expensive? He explained in detail, it is useful in many ways, so that is why it is so expensive. He was satisfied, assessing the item in his hand as quite good. Then Song Hyan urged, so unseal it, and I will take this enchantment treasure as well. Do not trick me again. The one-eyed injured man did not dare refuse and obeyed though still worried. But what about payment? Scene shifts to the lavishly built tavern. People inside drank and chatted. He entered, pondering, I have earned enough to drink, but... The female attendant saw Song Hyan come in and went over. Sorry, sir, we have no seats available now. I think you could sit with someone else or visit another inn. He made a thoughtful sound as if considering her offer. Suddenly someone called his name, making Song Hyan very surprised. He heard the call and smiled, turning to call back Kim Young-ho. Young-ho slapped the table with joy upon recognizing Song Hyan. He cheerfully asked, How long has it been? He guessed, about 2 months. Young-ho exclaimed excitedly, you are lucky today. I made a good haul this time. Song Hyan suddenly wondered how much he had earned. He saw Young-ho hold up 2 fingers, about 2 million gold coins. Wonderful, right? Order whatever you want. I will pay for it all, he exclaimed. Oh, then beer will not be enough. You should try this. He looked at the price of Balado raspberry wine at 1.9 million and was utterly stunned. Young-ho frankly complained that it was too expensive, which made Song Hyan unable to stop laughing. Then he offered proactively, then let me pay for this. Please give me a bottle of Balado raspberry wine. When the wine was brought up, he praised you for doing a great job on that quest. A true treasure indeed. Song Hyan poured the wine curiously. So did you have any luck today? Young-ho cautiously asked, can I really drink this stamina potion? Just thinking about stamina and stats is tiring. The system announced the item name as stamina potion. He raised his glass to confirm his question. Finishing his words, Song Hyan pondered. Stamina is a stat different from strength. I do not need to use a potion since it can be restored through rest, but I cannot use skills without it. At the same time it displayed, Kang Song Hyan has good strength and stamina needs recovery. Mana in red alert X. He reflected, because from the beginning, I never had mana. I thought it might be because I am not from the Azul continent, but other dimensional travelers still have it. His identity is Kim Young-ho Dimensional Traveler. Young-ho was very cheerful. It is still better than me, is it not? Song Hyan smiled and replied, well, there are some advantages, since mana potions are expensive. He raised his glass. Now then, let us drink as friends. Cheers to those like us living on the Azul continent with these damn abilities. Truly, it is expensive for a reason, seeing that he reminded Young-ho to just relax. While preparing to eat skewered meat, Song Hyan suddenly remembered something. He put it down on the plate and asked, I have something I want to ask you. He was puzzled. What is it? Is it important? Song Hyan cautiously glanced around. There were too many people here. Turned off divine communication. Young-ho reacted with admiration. It seemed quite serious then. The system message appeared. Divine communication cancelled. The two of them then heard the people around urging each other to drink and telling their own stories. He followed what the boy suggested and opened his mouth. What is it? Did you find the way home? Song Hyan smiled and judged. You are expecting too much. I have a new skill, and there are some strange things about it. It is a skill with a dark star. It displays detailed information. Throws has accuracy when throwing, damage when throwing is plus 100%, while the effect increases by 25%. Young-ho was curious. A star in the name of the skill. I do not have any skill like that. He nodded and replied, this is also the first time I have seen something like that. Maybe it is better than normal skills. He suddenly wondered, should I try killing a rare monster alone? Song Hyan asked directly, do you know anything about it? Young-ho quickly answered that he was not very clear. Suddenly he remembered something. Right, I think someone who once teamed with me mentioned a dark star skill. He was extremely surprised and questioned the identity of that person. Young-ho scratched his head and answered, I think his name was Kim Jae-young, or Kim Jae-young, or maybe Kim Jin-hyung. Let us just call him Kim Jae-young. Song Hyan carefully reminded, you cannot just decide someone's name like that. He affirmed firmly, anyway, that guy was really strong. He was also like us, a dimensional traveler, but the gap was really huge. He killed all the monsters by himself. So I asked him what he ate to be that strong, and he said he possessed a dark star skill. And on the last day, he began screaming. The man under the clear sky looked at his trembling hand, muttering. He wondered, what did he say then? Now is the fourth skill. Young-ho recalled the memory at that time. Maybe this is the way to return. Song Hyan was extremely surprised at the information he just revealed. After that, the two of them left the tavern and Young-ho was deeply grateful because Song Hyan had treated him to drinks. He happily hugged the bottle. One day I will earn 4 million and buy you 2 bottles. The boy laughed and replied, I look forward to it. You even took the whole bottle. Young-ho shared his upcoming plan. I will go back to the inn. What about you? Then Song Hyeon said, I will go buy some potion bottles. Then he waved goodbye. All right, I will go first. See you later. The boy also waved, reminding Young-ho to take care. After that, Song Hyeon seriously reasoned, if what he said is true, then obtaining a 4-star skill might change something. Then I also need to get one like that, because it could be a hint to find the way back home. Anyway, how did Kim Jae-young manage to collect 4 of them? I only got it after risking my life. How could he forget such important information? He sighed and calculated, tomorrow, what I should do to earn more points. The scene shifted to the bustling Hind Village Market Street. At this moment everyone was staring blankly in one direction. They were attracted by a signboard, healing at a cheap price. We accept payment in goods. Song Hyeon stood nearby and introduced, welcome. We will take care of you for only a cheap price. A person came up and cautiously asked, are you a healer? The boy immediately confirmed that information to him. Suddenly a voice rang out, attracting Song Hyeon's attention. I know that person. He is an eccentric guy who cannot even get a healer's badge because he cannot use healing magic. Someone was surprised. What? I knew something was off, another commented. Come to think of it, he really does look like a scammer. Nobody trusted. How could someone who does not know healing be a healer? The boy had a premonition that the situation would not be favorable. I already expected this. Just as Song Hyeon was packing up the signboard, a woman came over. Pardon me. Seeing that, he smiled and greeted her. Then he thought to himself, but my real customers are not adventurers. But from these people, she cautiously asked, do you accept payment for goods? I have some potatoes, but I am not sure if they are enough. The boy generously replied, all right, so what problem do you have? The woman removed the bandage and explained, I was injured here by a farming tool. An acquaintance of mine only had a small cut on his finger from a hoe, but I heard he became very sick and died. Very quickly Song Hyeon guessed. Tetanus is a frightening disease because people here have no vaccine for it. Then he suggested, first let me see the wound. At the same time the system notified, using the skill of observing eye, abnormal status, scratch caused by being cut with a hoe. It has been 2 days since the incident, easily infected due to using an old bandage. Seeing that, Song Hyeon sighed in relief. Fortunately there was no tetanus. He spoke to reassure, there is nothing dangerous at all, madam. She happily let out a questioning sound. Song Hyeon placed the basket of potatoes down and looked at his tools. Let us see, this will help heal your wound. The woman remarked that it was a strange potion bottle he introduced. This is a cream-type potion. You just need to use it after morning and evening and apply clean bandages. While speaking, Song Hyeon suddenly realized, I do not have any. He hurriedly ran inside, telling her to wait a moment. The woman confusingly called him. He looked at 10 bundles of straw, 100 grams, and calculated. If there is none, then I can make a bit myself. It is immediately crafted, using fabric crafting skill. Song Hyeon picked up the scissors and thought, since I am already doing it, I will make a bit more to keep in reserve. He understood the hearts of the people. It is rather difficult for commoners to buy bandages because they are too expensive. She was bandaged and happily exclaimed, thank you very much for this. After that, Song Hyeon waved, wishing the woman to take care. This is a good start. He joyfully sang, looking at the system screen, earning points already. The villagers cast scrutinizing gazes toward Song Hyeon. Moments later they rushed over. Healer, do you really accept payment in goods? Please take a look at my wound. He was pleased that many villagers needed treatment. Once healed, the people wholeheartedly thanked Song Hyeon, and the system also notified that he had gained a large number of healing points, with the accumulated total reaching 172 points. Though tired, Song Hyeon was still very satisfied. Truly, this was worth it. Hunting monsters was not bad either, but healing the villagers peacefully was the best. He hoped to only ever see sick people. Just then someone spoke in disdain. This is ridiculous. You call this filthy tent a shop? Hey, give me some potion. His face darkened as he saw Richard kick over the medicine box. Song Hyen furiously thought, what bastard is this? But outwardly he still kept a smile. What kind of potion are you looking for, sir? The man sat down calmly asking, the kind you make. Song Hyen looked at Richard's demeanor and cursed inwardly. Watching him size up the place as small as a nostril, it seemed he was from a noble family. But why did he come to this tiny shop? Song Hyen reached for a bottle. I do not know what you are looking for, but this is the only kind I have right now. Hearing that, Richard assessed, so you are the one who made it. For a potion maker you are quite lucky. Richard Lerve, one of the 3 sons of the Lerve family, introduced himself. I am Richard Lerve. Surprised, Song Hyen exclaimed his name, then thought, Lerve was quite a powerful family around here. He could not help but be curious, and what brings you here? A subordinate behind him spoke up. Nothing unusual. The head of the family, Lord Huss Lerve, wants to hire you. Richard explained curtly. The head of the Lerve family, Lord Huss Lerve, wants to hire you. Song Hyen was surprised, thinking someone so noble would seek me out. Richard, displeased, reminded, you've spoken too much to this guy already. The subordinate hurriedly apologized. Sorry, young master, I was only following orders. Richard tossed a pouch at Song Hyen and ordered him to take it. Confused, he asked what it was. Richard snapped angrily, you don't even know what this is, idiot. Song Hyen felt helpless at his reaction. If you don't say, how could I know? The man behind explained, they are ingredients used to brew the potion of Telas. Song Hyen examined the content. Titas, that's a contaminated land, isn't it? The subordinate explained further. Tias was once a beautiful region, but now we don't know why it became polluted. The land is rotting and constantly releasing toxins. The lord in charge of that land led the army to eliminate monsters to prevent the pollution from spreading, but from this, Song Hyen deduced that he must have been exposed to the toxins during that time. The man confirmed, yes, one of the servants at the estate said that he had received a potion from that place. At present, the supply of antidotes for this poison comes from far away, and they're not even very effective. Song Hyen smiled thoughtfully, so that's why this young master came here in person. To push back toxins, ointment-type potions are better than liquid ones, and right now, I'm the only one who can make them. Then he asked, so you want me to brew the potion? Richard scoffed, so you don't understand human speech, do you? If you impress my father, he will grant you a splendid shop instead of this ragged tent. Meaning you'll receive a privilege you could never repay in your lifetime. Song Hyen didn't take offense. Instead he smiled and replied that it was truly an honor. Richard was pleased and said, if you understand, then go brew the potion. Song Hyen calmly refused his offer. The smile on Richard's face froze instantly. His body trembled with rage. What did you just say? Song Hyen answered calmly, I said I would refuse. Richard, furious and ready to attack, shouted, you arrogant bastard. This is not something a mere potion maker like you has the right to reject. It is an opportunity my father is giving you. Song Hyen placed the pouch on the table. You've mistaken me. First of all, I am not a potion maker. Then he thought to himself, well, I could earn quite a bit if I took this job, but afterwards I would have to keep working for them. I need to gain more points. The system showed accumulated points at 172, with 20 points consumed per Unafraid of Richard's anger, Song Hyen stood up. He proudly told himself, try to be more polite if you are asking for help, you rude fool. Richard could not believe the judgment. You, a healer, nonsense. Just then someone rushed in, begging, Dr. Kang, please help me. Song Hyen was shocked by his sudden appearance. The man cried desperately, healer, my sister. Sweat covered the girl's forehead as she stood behind him. When Song Hyen touched her wound, a notification appeared, abnormal condition, bleeding and a deep wound exposing bone, a finger cut by a sharp sickle, death likely without treatment. He assessed the girl's condition. The finger was completely severed, blood vessels, nerves, and ligaments all cut. the finger merely tied back in place. After analyzing, he instructed us to wash the wound first. There are many impurities from that sickle. He urgently asked, "Can you save her?" The man behind sneered. "This is too funny, I cannot help it." He surprisedly called Richard by name. Then Richard disdainfully said, "A potion maker can cure disease or detoxify. But with this wound he cannot do anything. This kind of injury requires healing light that only a healer like me can fix." He looked at him in surprise. "Is he a healer?" Song Hyen immediately urged. "Then please heal her finger." Richard coldly replied, "Why should I? Does a lowly commoner have enough money to pay me?" Then he tightened his grip. "But if you beg my forgiveness for having been arrogant and agree to our demand, I will mercifully help that commoner." He glanced at her thoughtfully. "Will he really heal a commoner? A noble would never do that. This bastard seems to really need my potion." Then Song Hyen turned to the girl lying there. "No, you do not need to do that. I will treat her myself." He angrily gritted his teeth. "Then how do you plan to do that?" He calmly opened his dressing kit. Then Song Hyen took out saline solution and said, "We just need to sew it up." He thought to himself, "I have washed the wound and stopped the bleeding. Luckily I had previously made saline solution." Richard behind laughed scornfully at Song Hyen's action. He sneered, "Sew it up. Do you think people are toys? I am very annoyed. Get out of my way. Do not distract me." Richard confidently said, "I bet my lucky necklace that he cannot do it." Song Hyen excitedly replied, "If I can do it, I will take your necklace, and you will have to provide free treatment and food for the commoners for 3 days. How about that, young Master Richard?" He angrily agreed. "Fine, you butcher. And if you fail, then make the potion we need, and never call yourself a healer again." Song Hyen generously accepted. He looked at her and analyzed. "I said I will sew it, but this is quite a difficult situation." He took out his tools to calculate. "If I use ordinary thread, at the same time the system displayed, using the thread crafting skill." Song Hyen was very serious. "With potion and the thread crafting skill, I can create a thread suitable for this operation." Now it displayed important information, using the observing eye skill, while Richard behind pondered, "How dare a potion maker waste my time like this? I will make you regret this when it is over." Suddenly he shouted, making the subordinate and him startle. He focused on the wound. "I have learned some principles during my time as a healer. The survival principles of a level 5 healer." The system displayed a lot of information. Use bleeding control skill, observing eye and observing eye stitch. Song Hyen sewed the wound while telling himself, "Do not expect to gain a great skill, but make the most of all the skills and knowledge I have." Song Hyen very seriously performed the wound stitching and finger grafting. This was an extremely complex surgery, but with the right skills there was nothing he could not do. It would take a lot of mental power to connect each nerve, but with rare items it was worth it. At the same time, the system announced your intelligence has increased due to the effect of the body-soul training ring. He calculated silently. Then now if I stitch the skin back. At this moment Song Hyen's body became dizzy. It displayed information that annoyed him. "Damn it, my stamina." The girl's hand was about to be reattached. But Song Hyen's stamina was still dropping. "Just a little more, just a little more," he told himself as he struggled to finish the surgery. At the critical moment the thread broke. He calmly retrieved the surgical thread. Her finger had been perfectly reattached. While Richard was trembling with anger, Wheel's eyes filled with tears. "It has been reattached." Song Hyen glanced at the screen before him. "Lucky. If it had taken longer I would have fainted." Faced with the urgent situation, he quickly drank something. "First I must restore stamina and finish properly." The system announced total restoration, increasing the patient's recovery speed. The total restoration skill has been applied. After casting the spell, Song Hyen announced everything was done. Richard heard this and gnashed his teeth in rage. He rushed forward, pushing Wheel back. "Do not joke. How could a finger move again just like that?" He calmly said. "Check it yourself." He immediately rushed forward. "You arrogant bastard, get out of the way." Richard raised his hand and cast Healing Light, Resurrection. After being healed, she slowly opened her eyes, waking from the coma. Song Hyan gently asked, "Can you hear me?" She was silent, then looked around in confusion. He asked again, "Can you clench your hand and then open it?" The girl followed Song Hyan's words and performed the clenching and opening motion. He felt relieved seeing that was enough, while the others still did not believe the truth. Song Hyan smiled at Richard. "Do you still remember what you just said?" He muttered in confusion. "What?" Then Richard recalled that he had promised to volunteer and give the lucky necklace through Song Hyan's reminder. "Do not tell me you will go back on your word under the name of the first IRF. He was extremely furious. "How dare a mere potion maker like you?" Then Richard threw the necklace violently forward and cursed. Song Hyan looked at his back and remembered. The way of giving is as important as the gift itself. The system displayed, item, lucky necklace increases luck when equipped. Yule pinched the girl's cheek and said, "Dr. Kang, thank you so much. But do you think he will keep his promise?" He clenched his fist with confidence. "Of course, his father will surely be very strict about this. Please spread the word everywhere. Tell everyone that if they come to the city square, they will receive free food and treatment." The scene shifted to the evening at the Beats Fall Inn. Julia slammed the table and asked, "Dr. Kang, have you heard the rumor?" Song Hyan held his forehead and asked in confusion, "What rumor?" She looked at his face and remarked, "You look exhausted." "The young master of the Ira family has opened a free clinic at the city square and is also distributing free food. So many people are gathering there." Hearing this, he sighed. "Is that so? That is good," Julia worriedly said. "So I am concerned that the number of your patients will decrease." Song Hyan did not care much about that. "It is fine. For me, everyone being treated for free is already more than good enough." She admired him, truly a kind man, while Song Hyan was recalling Richard's angry face. Just thinking of his situation made him happy. Then he took out a basket of potatoes. "Miss Julia, today I found some potatoes. If you like, please use these." Julia excitedly stood up. "All right then. I will cook you something delicious to help you regain energy." Song Hyan clapped his hands and thought, "Thank you. But not today because it announced, roulette spin 10 times 200 points will be deducted." The results were all very valuable items, and he was extremely exhausted. The roulette had worn him out. Getting skills multiple times like before was truly strange, but still. At the same time, he received the Crystal of Life and expanded his storage. Song Hyan thought to himself, "I will use this." After selecting the system displayed, "You have gained more storage space thanks to using storage expansion." He examined the crystal in his hand. "This is an ingredient for stamina equipment, so at least this is useful." Just then a voice rang out, "Isn't that a crystal?" Song Hyan was surprised by Young-ho's presence. "Kim Young-ho, you are here too." He smiled and replied, "This place has amazing food." "You're lucky. I just found this too." He quickly realized, "Isn't that used to enhance crystals?" Young-ho generously offered the item in his hand to Song Hyan. He took it. "I do not need it." He looked at the item. "If you sell this, you could earn a lot," he asked. "So you won't take it?" Song Hyan immediately replied, "I will, thank you." Right then Young-ho suddenly noticed something. He was curious. "That ring, you haven't sold it yet. Are you going to keep using it?" "You denied it." "No, I only need it temporarily. It's quite expensive, so hard to sell." Hearing that he did not press further, Young-ho offered proactively, "Let me introduce a shop for you." Scene shifts from the Beats Fall Inn to a weapons shop. Song Hyan opened the door and greeted. Then he pondered, "If it's the place Young-ho recommends, it should not be too bad." The shop owner turned to greet Song Hyan as he entered. He got straight to the point. "I came to sell some items." The man looked at the ring and bluntly pointed out, "The crystal on this necklace is cracked." Song Hyan realized the truth and cursed Richard silently. The shop owner gave a number. This would be 3 million gold. Then Song Hyan changed his attitude and thanked him. Song Hyan took out a ring. "What about this one?" The man evaluated. "That is very rare." "Wait, let me check recent transaction history." Song Hyan called back as he walked away. "Take your time. I will look around in the meantime. The shop owner said, make yourself at home. Song Hyun surveyed the place to see what useful weapons they had. A crossbow. Should I try to appraise its quality? After all, a ranged weapon is also very good. At that moment, the crossbow emitted a blinding light. He did not understand what was happening and cried out, only to see the system prompt, take it at all costs. Song Hyun saw that and suspiciously said, take the crossbow, huh? He felt confused. Until now he had received countless messages, but he had never encountered a message like a person like that, because the system was showing notifications of having used points, results of spinning, and using the skills trap creation and elixir absorption. Song Hyun was extremely cautious, but this felt like... While he was watching him, he suddenly turned around. The voice of the blacksmith rang out, making him startled. The man curiously asked, is there a problem? He awkwardly explained, sorry, I was just thinking about something. That crossbow, is it some kind of special weapon or what? The blacksmith spoke, you must be talking about the crossbow of Africa. It is a precious weapon recently found in ruins. It goes together with this African pouch, and if you put an item into it. Immediately after he put a coin into the pouch. Very quickly something inside began to move. Song Hyun was puzzled after witnessing this scene. The blacksmith held the crossbow and shot, saying, the item will turn into an arrow. You can even shoot 5 consecutive shots. He looked at it, evaluating that it must be expensive. After a moment of thought, Song Hyun spoke, so how much is it? He quickly replied, we are pricing it at about 15 million. He was momentarily stunned. How could I possibly afford that? The blacksmith set the crossbow down and said, if you want to buy it right away, then I can sell it for 14 million. Song Hyun could not believe it and asked again about that amount. He curiously asked, how much can I get from the training body ring? I saw the transaction record listing 6.6 million gold. Can I buy it back at that price? Song Hyun silently calculated a total of 9.6 million gold for both the ring and necklace, huh? Even if I spent the emergency funds, it still would not be enough. Then suddenly he froze, as if he had thought of something. Wait, maybe? He spoke to the air, if you are watching me, then give me 4 million gold right now. But what responded to Song Hyun was only silence. He helplessly looked around while the blacksmith was puzzled. If you want to buy this, then at least you must give me money. The man proactively suggested, if you do not have enough money yet, then do you want me to keep this item for you? Song Hyun hesitantly asked if the blacksmith could really do that. He smiled and confirmed, of course, considering the items you brought. I am sure you will earn enough soon. He listened and assessed, and now I understand why Kim Young-ho recommended this shop, thinking that Song Hyun thanked the blacksmith. The man asked in curiosity, do you need anything else? He replied, please get me the buff item that looks like a hairpin. Scene shifts to the next day at the Adventurers Guild. Currently Song Hyun looked at the system screen displaying item, pin of life, item increasing stamina, enhancement option. He silently calculated, selling his talent to exchange for points and money. In front everyone was pushing each other to find a place to view quests. Song Hyun saw this and pondered, jobs for adventurers. I was thinking of borrowing some money from Kim Young-ho, but then he remembered when Young-ho gave money, I only had 5,000 gold. At that time, Song Hyun assessed, he was poorer than I thought. He seriously asked, do you think there is a possibility that we may never return? He could not be sure. I am not sure, but I think I have some clues. Song Hyun pondered, because that guy talked to me after 3 years of silence. That person is the one who brought us here. Maybe I can talk to him if I get that thing. After a moment of thought he spoke. I will let you know if I find out anything. Thank you for this little money. Young-ho irritably replied, then give it back to me, you brat. Returning to reality, Song Hyun told himself. That is how it is. First I should probably find a job. I wonder if there is anything useful, he thought as he went forward to check the quests. So these are for healers. He picked up a quest paper. A girl stared at him, not knowing whether to speak. After a moment of hesitation she spoke. Mr. Kang Song Hyun, I am sorry but only licensed healers are allowed to take those jobs. You need a seal, even though you have helped us a lot. We still cannot register you. Song Hyun smiled to reassure me. Do not worry, I was just looking through. Then the girl finally sighed in relief. Then she looked blankly at the papers in his hand. Wait, are all of these already in progress? After a moment of checking, the Song Hyun excitedly let out a shout. He looked at the notice urgently requesting a healer with the patient's leg continuously bleeding. This looks fine. The address is. Julia saw Song Hyun return and curiously asked, Dr. Kang, did you forget something? He immediately denied, I am just looking for someone. When Song Hyun opened the door, he saw what he was looking for. In the room someone spoke, let me. Lord Oliver will bless you. He was surprised to see Huey's, a priest. How could it be possible for someone to hire a normal priest for this job? Was he a wandering priest? At that moment, Lizzie was very worried. Father, Sister Lena were very tired. Then the old man urged, hurry up. Can you remove the bandages? Song Hyun immediately activated his insight skill. The system also displayed a success notification. The system quickly displayed the result. Abnormal condition. Bleeding due to infection of a wound caused by a sharp object. Bite marks on the wound identified. He was surprised that the wound originated from a bite mark. While Huey's was casting, please rest assured. Song Hyun quickly raised his hand to stop the old man's action. Huey's was startled and questioned his identity. Who are you? Song Hyun introduced himself. I am Kang Song Hyun, a healer. Sorry for interrupting, but your treatment will not work. The old man's face darkened as he questioned. Do you know what kind of healer I am? How rude. He explained, I think you misunderstood. I did not mean your ability. Just then Lizzie stood up. Excuse me, you said you are a healer. Then I am sure you understand my friend's current situation. If you are here only to say these things, then you should stop and go outside. Song Hyun stubbornly insisted. I told you, doing that is useless. Lizzie angrily pushed him out of the room. Get out, you are getting in the way. Then she forcefully slammed the door shut. Outside, Song Hyun remarked, they are really stubborn. Do not say I did not warn them. It is useless. Inside, Lizzie begged Huey's to continue. The old man reassured her to rest assured. Huey's face was full of astonishment, inwardly stunned. Why? He spread his hands using holy light to shine on the wound on the leg, but the healing had no effect. The wound on the leg remained unchanged without any improvement. Lizzie, seeing the situation was bad, worried. Father, what was happening? Blood kept flowing non-stop. Lena breathed with difficulty, eyes shut tight, face haggard from heavy blood loss. Doubt filled Lizzie's heart. Everything unfolded exactly as that healer said. I thought the priests of the Church of Ivor would be different. Even if brought to any healer, Lena still would not recover. That thought made her burst into tears. Suddenly Lena's voice called her name. Lizzie was startled by the cry. What is it, Lena? She lowered her head, breathing heavily, voice choppy. The previous healer. He knew that treating me would be useless. If it is that person, then he might be capable of healing. The one she meant was Song Hyun. Lizzie hesitated and replied, but Lena, that person is suspicious. Inwardly she worried. Telling a healer not to treat is strange. Lena reached out her cold hand to grab hers. Please, I cannot hold on even with the miraculous medicine. Convinced, Lizzie then declared firmly, all right, I will bring him here. The sound of the door flung open rang out. Julia, who was sweeping, was startled by the loud noise. She turned with a puzzled look at the newcomer. Lizzie hurried to her. Excuse me, did you see anyone just leave the waiting room? Someone with black hair and eyes, fairly tall too. Julia pointed to the person seated across. You mean Dr. Kang? Song Hyun looked up and spoke. How did the treatment go? A gentle smile on his face. Even observing from outside, one can sense the miracle of that holy power. Lizzie's hand clenched into a trembling fist. You are right. Huey's the priest's healing had no effect. She asked, do you understand where the problem lies? He nodded slightly. It seems so. Song Hyun curled the corner of his mouth and spoke as if confirming. After all those things, you want me to be the one to treat her? The question made Lizzie blush with embarrassment. I misunderstood your words earlier. You spoke as if there was no chance left to save her, as if even treating her now would be pointless. I thought the failed treatments were due to the healer's poor skills. Although I know this sounds brazen. No, I know I am being audacious. She bowed deeply at 90 degrees with sincerity. But please save my comrade. In her heart she is still worried, asking for help after being aggressive, even though I think I have no right to do so. She remained bowed for a long time without hearing him speak. When she raised her head, she saw Song Hyun already a short distance away. He turned and asked, "Why are you standing there blankly?" He smiled, "I must see the patient first. Hurry up." Lizzie still stood dazed, the corners of her eyes wet with emotion. She slowly replied, "Because when you acted like that it seemed you had no intention of helping." In the small room a voice rang out, "You should find the cause before blindly attempting to heal." Priest Hughys, hearing the complaint against him, felt somewhat embarrassed. He lowered his face, stroking his chin without rebuttal. Song Hyun looked at him and continued, "I told you treatment would have no effect." After a moment of thought he asked, "If treatment has no effect, are you implying the girl was poison?" He continued, "Not only do I treat, but I have studied nearly 100 poisons to master detoxification skills," Hughys said proudly. "Thorough knowledge of poisons is my pride." He affirmed with certainty, assuring him, "This patient is not poisoned." Song Hyun thought to himself, boasting again, a typical trait of healers. Then he spoke. To Hughys' surprise, "I did not say the culprit was poison." He turned to his patient, "What is your name?" Lena turned her face to him and softly spoke her name. He gently requested, "Miss Lena, let me examine your wound." Lena braced her leg to reveal the wound still bleeding endlessly. He asked further, "Why did you get this wound?" Lena recounted, "A week ago I was attacked by a stone beast on the road to Hind Village. It was not a very strong monster. In fact, the wound at first was not serious." Lizzie added, "But strangely I was also attacked." Song Hyun asked, "After being attacked by the stone beast, did you both head straight to the village?" Lizzie recalled and replied, "No. After that we were chased by a group of goblins in the forest, along with a pack of crocodiles in the mica swamp." Hughys listened and commented inwardly, "Quite a series of obstacles." Lizzie continued, "Shortly after we arrived at the village, Lena's condition suddenly worsened." Song Hyun curved his lips into a gentle smile, Hughys seeing this expression and felt puzzled. He continued, "This is my last question for you. Does this wound cause you pain?" Lena reflected on his question. Her eyes flashed as if realizing something. No, thinking again, "It did not cause me pain." Her answer left Hughys astonished. He raised his voice, "It did not cause you pain. Such an important detail, and you only mention it now." She slowly replied, "Because of dizziness I did not notice that the wound did not cause me pain." At that moment Hughys realized what he thought was merely strange was in fact something else. This is dark sorcery, a skill using black mana, the opposite of holy power. His voice grew tense. The lack of effect from healing clearly means a curse. Song Hyun raised a wooden hammer and shattered the old man's assumption. "Calm down. What sorcery? If it were truly a curse, then healing would have made the condition far worse." Hearing this, Hughys grew red with anger, unable to respond. His hand shook as he pointed at the young man as if to question him, but it was useless. The answer appeared before them. In Song Hyun's hand, a blue vial shimmered with light. Reincarnation activated the skill of distribution and absorption. Streams of light from the vial coiled around Lena's wounded leg. All who saw were stunned. Hughys confused. "What have you done?" "The divine medicine is turning into mist." A moment later, the bleeding from Lena's wound had ceased. Song Hyun, watching the mist drift between his fingers, calmly explained, "Dentrol mint extract, simply using self-distilled elixir to draw out bugs. Hardly an invention." Hearing the word bug, Lena grew uneasy, fear showing on her face. "Look here," he gestured at the wound on her leg. "Because of the blood it is not obvious, but there are tiny bite marks left behind." he explained. You mentioned earlier, did you not? You crossed the mica swamp. The swamp is the natural habitat of countless spirit bugs. And when you crossed it, Lena's wound was still open, was it not? Lena, still confused, replied, that is right. It was not treated immediately, but Lizzie was the same. Song Hyen continued, where exactly were you both injured by the stone beast? Lizzie scratched her face, recalling, for me it was the back of my hand and my cheek. As for Lena, besides her leg, nowhere else. Then she suddenly remembered. Only Lena's wound had been submerged in water. Song Hyen began his lecture. Exactly. The infection occurred in the swamp. Lena's wound was contaminated by the bugs through exposure to water. Huey's added, with a foreign body inside her leg, of course healing could not stop the bleeding. Now it all makes sense. Lizzie cried out in excitement. Then she was cured. No, this is only a temporary measure. The wound did not cause pain because the bug possessed the ability to suppress sensation. A high-level skill for insects. As he spoke, he drew a sharp knife from his pocket. For such bugs, before finishing his words, the knife in his hand swiftly cut across Lena's wound. A jet of red blood spurted out to her shock. He continued, the first effect of the medicine is not enough to eliminate them. From the small wound on Lena's leg, a large creature slowly emerged. A bug of immense size and grotesque form appeared. Lena's eyes widened at the horrifying scene unfolding. A massive creature burst out from the wound on her leg, shooting into the air before crashing down to the ground. Everyone stared in suspicion at the strange giant being thrashing violently on the floor. Song Hyen gripped the knife tightly in his hand. It must be finished off immediately. A troublesome thing. The grotesque creature writhing was a leech-type monster that lived near water known as the black water leech. Its sudden increase in size made Huey's cry out in shock. It grew bigger. Terrified, he lost balance and fell to the ground. Song Hyen's gaze locked on every movement of the monster. It crawled swiftly across the ground at alarming speed. He guessed its intention. That bastard, it planned to escape through the drain. Song Hyen shouted urgently, give me a weapon, hurry. His feet moved hastily as he sprinted toward the monster. He pushed himself to match its speed. Raising the knife high, he aimed at its body and struck down. Its jagged toothed mouth opened wide and spewed out a blast of air to counter. The attack successfully diverted the knife's strike from Song Hyen's hand. His hand trembled slightly, beyond expectation, strong indeed. Though he knew the human blood it absorbed in just 1 week would enhance its power, still. The nimble monster easily slipped away from his knife. It rushed past him, continuing toward its chosen escape. Song Hyen evaluated again. Its growth rate is still too fast. Seeing the desperate situation, Lizzie quickly dashed forward to help. She pushed off the ground and leapt high into the air. Her hands grasped firmly onto a tall cabinet. Struggling to climb up, she shouted with determination, I will not let you escape. Her eyes burned with willpower. After regaining balance, Lizzie hurled herself down, blocking the monster's path with the cabinet. A successful landing. To let escape the thing that nearly killed Lena, impossible. A loud voice called her name. Before her eyes the monster was already within reach. Song Hyen rushed in and kicked it away before it could strike Lizzie. The creature was sent crashing into the wall by the forceful kick. Standing before it, Song Hyen raised his knife high, a glint of death in his eyes. The blade pierced straight into its jagged mouth, and in his mind he reasoned, its strength comes from the blood it absorbed. Song Hyen drove the knife in deeper, knowing that if he prolonged the battle the creature would exhaust all its blood and wither to death. He pulled the blade out and stepped back. At that moment he noticed its size had shrunk compared to before. Yet it had not given up, raising its head to scan the room. Its eyes darted around searching for an escape. Finally it found its chance at the window. At once strong gusts burst from its body toward the window. In an instant the window was blown off the wall and the creature shot outside. Song Hyen stared in shock, teeth clenched in anger. He remembered Julia's cheerful face as she cleaned this place, making it tidy and fresh, and whispered an apology to her. Quickly he sprinted after the creature, worrying filling his chest. If it merged into the town's canal to escape, there would be no way to track it. Losing it now meant the end. He tightened his grip on the vial of elixir, leapt through the window in pursuit, the bottle shattering in his hand under the force. Immediately the mist release and absorption skill activated. The effect of the peppermint dentrol elixir amplified, and the mist quickly engulfed the creature. Song Hyun rushed in with his knife, closing in, slashing at it repeatedly. Most of its blood drained, forcing it into hemorrhage. A flash of determination lit his eyes, almost there. He stared at the weakening monster before him. If he struck a fatal blow now? Without hesitation he thrust the blade, but suddenly the knife stopped. The polished blade chipped, a fragment slicing past his face. Looking back, the weapon in his hand was broken. Song Hyun cursed under his breath. Suddenly Huey's appeared, bringing with him a halo of light, holy restraint. Corpse binding, he declared, as chains bound the monster in midair. Took me a while to cast this spell, he muttered, gripping the chains tightly. I cannot hold it for long, hurry. Song Hyun praised him, perfect timing. He calculated quickly. Though he had bought a moment, he had no weapon to perform the cutting skill. His eyes fell on the broken blade on the ground, useless now. Then suddenly a voice called his name, Sir Kang Song Hyun. With the call came a gleaming sharp knife falling into his hand. Lizzie leaned from the window, pointing and shouting, "Use it." At that moment the monster still thrashed violently, the chains snapping apart. Huey's was flung backward as it broke free. Song Hyun immediately seized the knife and charged straight at it. With a powerful swing he slashed into the creature's body. It was hacked into pieces, and only then did he allow himself to breathe, announcing it's over. Is it dead? The monster was now nothing but scattered chunks of flesh, no doubt about it. Thanks to you we caught it. Father Huey's, do you want to keep this? He asked, lifting a piece. Huey's bluntly refused. I want nothing to do with that filth. Then I will, Song Hyun replied. A short while later Lena looked down at her leg, the wound neatly stitched, unable to hold back her awe. The speed of his stitching, like a portable sewing machine, Lizzie remarked beside her. Song Hyun wiped his hands and explained, stitching with enchanted thread boosts immunity, and this way your leg will not ache again for a time. Lena, deeply grateful, whispered, I was truly terrified. I thought I would die. Her eyes damp with tears, she smiled. Thank you, healer. Song Hyun returned the smile. I only fulfilled my duty as a healer. Then he sat down, speaking calmly. Father Huey's, now return and file your report. His tone dropped lower, that you failed this mission. Huey's frowned, casting him a sharp glance, lips curling in puzzlement. Song Hyun simply smiled, looking at the old man with gentle eyes as he explained, only then can I claim the reward. Transitioning to the Adventurers Guild, an unexpected voice rang out, I am here to report, my mission has failed. At that she exclaimed in shock, What, failed? Huey's admitted, yes, while inwardly she denied it, impossible. Father Huey's belonged to the highest ranks of priests in the Ivor Church. If he wished he could easily hold a higher position. How could this be? Then she caught sight of Song Hyun, standing casually near the entrance. Instantly she thought, so it was him, that meddler, Kang Song Hyun. Right after, Lizzie laughed and said, Then according to what we are saying, may I cancel the request? The woman had no choice but to reply, Yes, that is an acceptable reason. Lizzie cheered at once. Wonderful. Across the counter the clerk stamped the papers and declared, by the principles set by the Adventurers Guild, we will return half the fee you paid and cancel this mission. The cancellation was swiftly completed. Meanwhile Song Hyun thought to himself, though I cannot take on assignments as an official healer, I do have the right to accept missions cancelled by the guild. Suddenly curses echoed in his head. Have you no shame? How dare you stick your nose into others' quests? You cannot even use healing magic. Everyone is condemning you. Facing those words, Song Hyun replied calmly, Though I understand why you resent me, still, The fault lies in not treating patients properly from the start. That is the reason I became a healer. A short while later Lizzie spoke up again. Here, it is not much, but please take this as our sincerity. She added, inside is also the half fee refunded by the guild. Song Hyen politely answered, thank you, I truly need it. Then he suddenly remembered, ah yes, your dagger, but Lizzie firmly refused, saying, please keep it. Crafted from blue silver stone, it fits well in your hand. When I said I would become an adventurer, the villagers forged it as a gift. Song Hyen heard that and wondered, is it that important? Will you be all right? She stammered in reply, well then, I also want to say sorry. But to me, nothing is more important than the lives of my comrades. Hearing her words, Song Hyen gradually understood. I see, thank you. After that he quietly said, I will give you a 10% discount next time, but do not get injured too soon. Lizzie chuckled and quickly agreed, all right. A moment later Song Hyen mumbled calculations, 600,000, 650,000, a total of 700,000 gold coins. Then he thought, I urgently need 2 million gold coins. Buying that crossbow will cost more than 2 million. I also have to stock up for self-defense. Then Song Hyen happily told himself, let us spin the roulette 5 times in a row. System notifications kept appearing, seeing that he quietly sighed, all gold. Then Song Hyen thought, even though I really need money, just a few coins like this are. At least I received a skill from the spin, attribute of energy right, must be wind elixir. He quietly observed it for a while, then contentedly told himself, not bad. Not long after, Song Hyen looked forward and hesitantly said, now I just need it. He stepped inside while speaking, pardon me. A voice neither warm nor cold sounded, Dr. Kang right, by the voice it seems to be you. That person was none other than Lafay. She calmly continued, take whatever you need. Unexpectedly Song Hyen replied, I am here to sell not to buy. Hearing that Lafay urged, then what are you waiting for? Hand it over now. He helplessly sighed. Customers came into the shop only wanting people to sell rather than buy. What kind of shop is this? Even so, Song Hyen still tossed what he had just harvested onto the table and introduced me. I just picked this up. She observed for a while, then asked a black water leech. Someone went to Mica Swamp. Song Hyen confirmed, that is right, it was not me. Then Lafay began to comment, cut in half, injured and scratched in many places. This thing is not worth much. When her eyes fell on the sharp teeth in the middle, Lafay let out a surprised sound. On the other side, Song Hyen casually asked how much. She quickly offered 3 million. How about that? He exclaimed in surprise. Nanny just said it was not worth much. Do you like them? Lafay flatly denied, of course not. Look, its teeth color is not like the others. Leech teeth are usually black. This is a mutated black water leech. Mutation is a branch of mutated monsters. They are stronger than normal ones and possess supernatural abilities. Hearing that Song Hyen curiously asked, no different from rare monsters right? She seriously answered, quite different. Even if not scratched, the rest of rare monsters can only be extracted into materials. On the other hand, the rest of a variant can be used to craft holy relics. Finishing her words, Lafay firmly confirmed, variants are very rare, also not yet fully researched, that is the reason they are expensive. After that he teased, no wonder the pharmacist likes them so much. On the screen were strange incomprehensible characters, making Song Hyen extremely puzzled. He told himself, Song Hyen guessed, this was a message saying he had completed the mission. But what were the other things? His face now also turned angry. Thinking so, he then announced, sorry, but I think the system is broken. Finishing his words, Song Hyen gnashed his teeth and cursed, do not joke with me. I have obtained the crossbow that you requested. Stop following me and show yourself. Come here and talk to me. As soon as he finished speaking, a beam of light suddenly emitted from the screen in front of him. Witnessing the scene before his eyes, Song Hyen again asked himself, a black star. Does this symbol represent the one who is watching him? Moments later on the system screen it announced that the other side would answer 5 of his questions. At the time Song Hyen was first transported to the continent of Azul, the people who were transported with him either had to struggle to survive or had died in the cave. People could not cooperate. They argued whether to stay here or find a way back to Earth. Then he had said, "Whatever we do, we also need money," after hearing that everyone agreed unanimously. Song Hyen then continued, "So how about this? Find a high-paying job that matches the skills of everyone." After splitting up and adapting to this world, those who wanted to return to Earth tried to find a way. Song Hyen suspiciously exclaimed, "5 questions," he told himself. He now had the chance to know the way to return to Earth. The messages were getting shorter. Was this limited at a certain level? Song Hyen needed to think carefully about this. And so he chose to ask, "Are you the entity that brought us to the continent of Azul?" On the screen, the number of questions immediately changed. Song Hyen then thought, just as he had thought. Then Song Hyen asked again, "So then you are the monster. What is your purpose?" This time the screen did not even bother to change the number, and just stayed the same. Still no answer was given. Seeing that he understood, it can only answer yes or no. Time passed again. Song Hyen calmly asked, "Is there a way for me to return to Earth?" The screen immediately showed 3 questions left. You asked again, "Has anyone returned successfully?" It immediately denied. At that time Song Hyen still had 2 more questions. On the other hand, Song Hyen suspected thinking. Not even one person exists, so even Kim Ji-hyung cannot. The only way to get a lot of information from yes or no questions is. Then Song Hyen immediately spoke. "I bet you did not bring us here without reason. You must have some purpose, even though it seems you have not achieved it yet." Then he raised the questions he had written in the notebook while wondering, "What do you want from us Earth people?" At that time Song Hyen still thought silently. Exactly 4 ways exist for it to answer questions through the status window. If the answer is number 1, then say no, and if it is 2, say X. Finally, the system screen displayed the letter O, corresponding to answer number 1. Later he spoke again. The last question, "Which do you care about more?" Answer O if points, X if items. Immediately the system chose O and announced Song Hyen had no more questions. But he was not discouraged and only said, "I understand. So basically, this bastard brought us here to be slaves farming points." It really made him annoyed. But from an objective point of view, if Song Hyen is the only one who knows this, then he is also the one closest to its goal. Soon, Song Hyen spoke again. "I do not care what you do to me, but I need to know your identity. Know your identity, then I will find a way back to Earth. Are you a god of the Azul continent?" Maybe I have used up my question turns, but I will answer that question if I were you. If you want to help me, then be honest. Suddenly a notification of points consumption from the system popped up. That shocked Song Hyen speechless. The notifications of points decreasing kept popping up, and seeing this he angrily scolded, "What the hell do you think you are doing? Give me back my points." But in the end, Song Hyen still did not receive any points back, which made him extremely frustrated. Song Hyen even thought to himself, "Damn it, I will kill you, even if you are a god." Suddenly the notification bar appeared again, making him stunned, a quest window. Song Hyen silently speculated, and the reward is a skill, since before there had never been a quest system like this, because it took his points and returned a quest. Could it use points to manage this system? It might be difficult to communicate at this moment. Then Song Hyen spoke. "Fine, this time I will do as you said, but I expect a proper reward." Although he really wanted to call you a roulette demon, a slave trader, an evil creature. But because you control the status window, from now on I will call you admin. Not long after, the time changed to the next day. Song Hyen sat alone, enjoying his breakfast. He ate while evaluating. The smell of this rabbit burger is awful. But after reviewing the system notifications, Song Hyen was satisfied and thought today's achievement is pretty good. So the reward is a unique crossbow skill. Combining it with other skills is not bad. Song Hyan read the status line and exclaimed, "There is a roulette for this crossbow. I also got this coupon, let's try it." And so he chose to use the item to spin a roulette wheel. Song Hyan looked at the items in front of him and could not help sighing. Very quickly the results came in, and all his skill stats increased. Song Hyan munched on his food while thinking, only the Freya crossbow is unique. It increases stats and grants an extra skill, and it no longer has that annoying golden slot. It even adds points for each soul point he gains. Hopefully it will be like this every time. Just then Young-ho appeared from somewhere. "Oh, so sleepy," Song Hyan said. "Here I am." And he responded, "Oh, Dr. Kang." Then he continued frankly, "Young-ho, come with me for a bit. I have some things to discuss with you." Not long after, Young-ho's terrified scream echoed from inside the house. He stammered, "Is it true? Were we brought here just because of those points?" Song Hyan replied calmly, "Essentially yes." Then Young-ho hesitantly asked again, "What do they consider us? Just a bunch of slaves?" After that he continued stammering, but still. A second later, Young-ho burst into sobs. "I'm so happy. I thought I would die before setting foot back in my homeland." Song Hyan coldly reminded him, "Stop crying and listen carefully to what I'm about to say." Seeing Young-ho had stopped crying, he continued, "I don't know how much of this you'll understand, but I really have to work like crazy to earn points." He then wondered, "Oh, Dr. Kang, you're having trouble earning points, right?" Song Hyan immediately answered, "Yes, I only need to treat injuries. But first the injuries I cause myself, strike and heal, then strike and heal again. Healing does not count for me, only for teammates. If I heal a teammate's injury right on the spot, then I can earn points very quickly." After hearing this, Young-ho curiously asked, "So what is your proposal?" Seeing that he seemed agreeable, Song Hyan reached out and spoke. "Young-ho." He paused for a moment and then frankly requested, "Become my support." Meanwhile, Song Hyan thought silently, "Now I need a temporary teammate. The suitable person for the support role is an adventurer, someone who already knows about the status screen system. And that person must be someone Song Hyan trusts among countless others." Thinking this, he said, "But on second thought, at this moment, only Young-ho can help me." Hearing this, Young-ho hesitated and asked again, a support role. "Fine, if Dr. Kang requests it, of course I have to agree." Song Hyan was satisfied and thought I knew he would accept immediately. On the other side, Young-ho drew his weapon and boldly said, "All right, now I will dedicate this body to you." Song Hyan curiously asked, "What are you doing?" He raised his voice and replied, "I'm investing in points so Dr. Kang can earn them. Doctor, quickly save me, heal me, and take the points." After realizing this, Song Hyan said, "Hurting yourself won't give me any extra points." Young-ho heard this and shouted in disappointment, "No." At that moment, the system was also adjusting the screen. A little later, he began to speak. "I see. I just need to defeat monsters as usual. I only need to do that, right?" Then Young-ho hesitated, but this was a bit rushed. Song Hyan encouraged everyone to live diligently. "Let's go." Hearing the noise, she still warmly greeted, "Welcome to the Adventurers Guild." But when she clearly saw the face of the person in front of her, she was surprised and exclaimed. The receptionist silently thought, "Contract breaker, look at his face, that excited expression for destroying the entire contract." Seeing her expression, Young-ho immediately wondered, "What did I do to make her show that face?" He calmly replied, "Nothing major. Let's see, are there any feasible contracts?" While he was humming and searching, Song Hyan noticed, "Young-ho, look." On the board there were 3 contracts, all with the same destination, the Balat Mountains. He spoke thoughtfully. "For some reason today there are many contracts from the Balat Mountains." Suddenly an explanation sounded, "Oh, that recently the number of monsters has suddenly increased. It is currently the mutation period of monsters in the Balat Mountains. Therefore we will post extermination contracts periodically. During this time everyone can use the pre-established camp area of the Adventurers Guild. Are you too interested?" Song Hyan silently thought, the camp area, what better place to earn points than a region full of adventurers? So he decided, These extermination contracts are very suitable. We will accept them. After successfully completing the negotiation, she cheered, perfect. After finishing the paperwork, the receptionist announced, I have confirmed the contracts. Good luck to both of you. The scene shifted to another place, and a very cheerful voice suddenly sounded. Welcome to the Balat Mountains campsite. After speaking, he introduced himself as Vasilo. At the campsite, we will reward you based on the number of monsters you catch. The western path you came from should be safe. However, other areas are always full of secrets, so please be careful. He observed the surroundings while asking, Young-ho, are you ready? And he replied, of course, now until they become patients, then it's time to harvest gold. Soon unusual movements appeared on the ground. Seeing the monsters emerge, Song Hyan immediately recognized them as a group of iron-clawed moles. He immediately summoned Freya's Fate Bag skill and firmly stated, they will rush out as soon as we leave the campsite. Next, Song Hyan used the confirmed crossbow to create stone arrows. As he launched the attack, 3 moles were pushed back. At that moment Song Hyan happily thought, thanks to this skill, I don't need to load each arrow individually, and the damage is even higher than I expected. While still satisfied with the skill he used, a mole suddenly popped up from the ground. Seeing this, Young-ho panicked and shouted, Dr. Kang. But at that moment, the mole quickly extended its claws. Song Hyan looked at it rushing toward him and helplessly exclaimed, oh no. At the critical moment, he suddenly lunged forward to block the attack. Song Hyan panicked, calling Young-ho, but Young-ho just said, don't worry about me, keep fighting. Very quickly he shot a small health arrow at Young-ho. He immediately turned and asked, you shot an arrow at me. Song Hyan calmly replied, it's a healing arrow. I just wanted to make sure that even if it hit someone else, they would be fine. Young-ho, feeling aggrieved, said, you can't treat me like a guinea pig like that. Song Hyan ignored his words and raised his bow to attack the moles. Young-ho also quickly returned to combat stance. After dealing with the moles, a voice of awe sounded, oh no. Just the 2 of them could catch this many. Song Hyan calmly replied, those aren't iron mice, but whatever they are, Young-ho can catch them all. Seeing Vasilo hurriedly say, I will calculate the results immediately. Please wait a moment, he reassured, take your time. On the other side, continuous chatter arose. At this speed, how many are there? Who could those 2 be? At least we know they aren't ordinary adventurers. After that, someone continued, yes, but no matter how talented. Looking at the bandages and gauze, they must be so poor they couldn't even hire a healer. Later he ate while bitterly scolding, these people are blind. How dare they say such things without first understanding how amazing Dr. Kang's healer is. Song Hyan politely replied, I'm glad to hear you say that. But he then wondered, aren't you angry, Dr. Kang? Those guys need to witness your skills to open their eyes. However, he simply continued calmly, no need to waste energy on people like that. Anyway, they are really late. Young-ho, hearing this, became very curious about who they were. Nearby, a group of people was approaching them. They walked while shouting, I'm looking for a healer. These are the patients you've been expecting. Hearing the shouts searching for a healer, Young-ho assessed the situation. Even though it was night time, the number of injured people was still increasing. After that, he cheerfully said, Dr. Kang, here you can earn a ton of points, but unexpectedly Song Hyan replied calmly, I'm fine. Young-ho was extremely puzzled, but with so many patients here, just then a sound of pain rang out. At that moment, Song Hyan calmly explained, I already have patients of my own. So Song Hyan stepped forward and asked that patient, would it be inconvenient if I took a quick look at him? And he turned and asked, who are you? While he hesitated to speak, the others were. Then Young-ho suddenly became furious. He thought to himself, that's the bastard who laughed at us. The healer, seeing Song Hyan approach, politely refused, thank you, but I'm not incompetent. I don't think I need outside help. Song Hyan calmly countered, that is why this patient ended up in this condition. He quietly observed and commented, at least they treat fairly well. It seems he was attacked around the arms and shoulders. Then Song Hyan used the observation eye skill. Notifications about the patient's condition kept appearing. Young-ho, seeing him standing still, asked, "Did you notice anything?" Song Hyan replied, "It seems he was bitten by some wild beasts, and his arm is also paralyzed due to joint stiffness." Hearing this, he solemnly speculated, "Paralyzed. Then he might have been bitten by Bellarado hunting dogs," while the young man nearby sarcastically said, "Don't make me laugh. Paralytic poison doesn't hurt humans that much." Faced with these words, Song Hyan still calmly responded, "The paralytic venom of Bellarado hunting dogs is truly unique. If certain special conditions are met," he said while using a rao to slash the victim's arm. While the others were stammering in shock, he shouted in panic. The flesh in that area had already rotted. Song Hyan then explained that it is the effect of necrotic poison. The question arises, what should we do? He summoned his weapon to treat the injuries while calmly asking, "So what should we do?" Song Hyan aimed the crossbow at the patient and replied indifferently, "We should do this," which made him panic and exclaim, "Hey, will you stop or not? You came here to cause trouble from the start, didn't you?" Song Hyan ignored him and only said, "Young-ho, please drive away the unrelated people," and he immediately chased them off. "Heard that, don't distract this healer, get lost." On the other hand, Song Hyan aimed and silently calculated, "If I want to quickly remove the toxins from multiple parts of his body, this is the most feasible method." Skills like Kai, Freya's Fate Bag, and the Wind Arrow healing technique were activated in sequence. Song Hyan thought to himself, a chain of 5 Wind Arrow healing shots. Others saw this and panicked, shouting, "I can't watch anymore, are you crazy? How can you kill a person like that?" Hearing their chatter, he coldly lowered his crossbow and replied, "Kill." At that moment, the wounds hit by the arrows slowly began to heal. Song Hyan, feeling relieved, said, "Don't call a living, healthy person dead." Seeing this, they wondered. He was shot by arrows and is still fine. Moreover, even the toxins have been neutralized, and everyone shared an expression of astonishment. Then he explained, Bellarado hunting dogs are weak against the wind element. Even the toxins they use are affected by the air, so if I treat this person in a place with stable air, I guarantee that the toxins will naturally disappear. Young-ho, hearing this, exclaimed in surprise, "Wait, so?" The patient's condition became severe because that healer had completely covered his wounds. He stammered in objection. "What?" Song Hyan agreed, saying, "That's right. If that healer had been a bit smarter and hadn't covered the wounds, it would have been much simpler. I think something like that probably won't happen again." After saying this, he turned and asked, "Right," and the people nearby commented, "Exactly. But how could he heal so recklessly? He's right. Better that guy had left the patient alone." He couldn't stand the gossip, so he quickly cursed and ran off. Seeing this, Young-ho happily exclaimed, "What a great feeling." After that, procedures like bandaging the patient's wounds were completed. Song Hyan kindly reminded, now his arm is fully healed, but he should still be careful until his body completely recovers, and he sincerely replied, "Yes, thank you very much." Suddenly Young-ho asked with curiosity, "But isn't it strange? Why is this guy here alone? Where is his group?" Song Hyan immediately responded, "Now that you mention it, I didn't notice before. No one would go hunting alone at night." "Hey, where are the rest of your group?" The other quickly answered, "Our team was ambushed and everyone has been separated." "No way, am I the only one still alive? Oh no, I really shouldn't have run off alone." The Bellarado hunting dogs kept suddenly lunging from nowhere. Hearing this, Young-ho asked, "That's strange. Bellarado hunting dogs don't usually attack in such large packs." Meanwhile, Song Hyan thought silently, "Something isn't right. Could it be?" Thinking this, he spoke, "The sudden increase of monsters and the remaining missing members of the team must have been caused by a rare monster. That's the most reasonable explanation. It seems they are trapped inside a dungeon." Time passed slowly, and Young-ho, walking, wondered, "What if they've all died?" Song Hyan calmly replied, "Hopefully not." Suddenly Song Hyan stopped completely, then whispered, "Do you hear that? Cursing sounds erupted immediately after. Damn it, those cursed dogs. Seeing this, he ordered Young-ho the lamp. Young-ho quickly replied, got it, and immediately acted. Ahead, a pack of hunting dogs was lunging, ready to tear someone apart. At the same time, the wind arrow healing technique had been prepared. The hunting dogs couldn't defend in time and were hit full-on by his attack. Then Song Hyun ran over to check, "Are you okay?" And the other politely replied, "Yes, thank you." At that moment, Young-ho suddenly shouted, "Dr. Kang, over there." Song Hyun observed for a moment and judged. It seems they entered their territory, and he panicked, confirming, "They're all dead." Song Hyun thought silently. The pile of corpses includes both humans and beasts, and they seem to have been decomposing for some time. Then he said, "Doesn't look like they all just died recently." Young-ho replied, "Aren't Bellotto hunting dogs supposed to prefer fresh meat? I'm sure they don't have the habit of storing prey like this." At that moment, a thoughtful expression crossed Song Hyun's eyes, and a little later he said, "Some of them do like rotting meat." Suddenly a set of claws, both familiar and strange, appeared. It was the rare monster, the rotten Bellotto hunting dog, and at the same time Song Hyun confirmed, it's the undead. Zombies, creatures that are already dead, but can move again through dark magic, are the thing a pastor hates most. He calmly assessed, "This is troublesome," and Young-ho cautiously asked if the two of us could handle it. On the other side, the undead were emitting odors that few could tolerate. Immediately after, they let out the characteristic howls of wolves. Receiving the signal from their companion, countless others advanced. Cadel saw this and couldn't hide the fear on his gaunt face. His feet instinctively wanted to flee far away. At the critical moment, Young-ho appeared in time to block them. Don't even think about it. However, one still took the opportunity to attack him. Seeing this, Song Hyun shouted a warning, "Duck, Young-ho." Then he used the Priya-bag skill and created wind potion arrows to attack it. Young-ho narrowly escaped and sincerely said, "Thank you, Doctor." But before finishing, Song Hyun called Kim Young-ho. After that, he shot an arrow at him to enhance the effect of the wind element potion. Once finished, he explained, injecting the vaccine. Young-ho, hearing this, angrily scolded you. You should at least give a warning. Soon, a fierce battle between humans and the undead broke out. Young-ho, still angrily cursing, "Damn them," was bitten by one. Immediately after, it suffered a full strike from the vaccine on his body. Young-ho counterattacked while cheerfully praising, "The wind potion is really powerful." Song Hyun heard this, but showed no expression. He glanced at the one sitting there and wondered, what is it doing? It hasn't moved since the battle began, as if waiting for all its allies to die. Could it be? On the other side, Young-ho finished the final strike and shouted, "Last one done." At that moment, the hunting dog began to summon a source of dark power. Witnessing this, he immediately guessed Death Necromancer. Song Hyun said in a serious tone, "That dog is a Death Necromancer." Hearing this, Young-ho was stunned and exclaimed, "Damn, a dog can summon souls." After finishing, Young-ho asked in concern, "What now?" "If this keeps up, it'll take until morning." Song Hyun calmly replied, "The spell will be broken when I kill the Death Necromancer. But the problem is, these damn dogs keep getting in the way." Then Young-ho came up with an idea. "Do you think you can defeat it if you get close enough?" And Song Hyun quickly confirmed he could. After receiving the brief answer, Young-ho stepped forward. Then, full of determination, he declared, "Then left these to me." At that moment, Song Hyun suddenly remembered. Right, although he looks like a weak mage, Young-ho's role is the tank. At this point, he activated the Pack Rage skill. Young-ho shouted, "Under this effect, the monsters will increase their speed, which means this spell could kill me instantly." He ran from the pack while concluding, "Dr. Kang, I trust you." Song Hyun silently thought with deep gratitude, "Thank you, Young-ho." He glanced at the Death Necromancer dog and muttered, "Now handling a zombie will be easy." Song Hyun recalled Lafay's words, "The source of a rare monster's power resembles a sacred artifact. If you encounter a troublesome one, just find that source and destroy it." So he dashed forward and activated the clairvoyance skill. Soon after, Song Hyan silently rejoiced. I saw it. He raised his knife and thought. The sacred artifact is located at. After confirming it was at the jaw, Song Hyan immediately used the dash skill to attack it. Then he lifted his crossbow, whispering, the opportunity has come. Just as Song Hyan was using the Priya bag skill and crafting wind potion arrows, something suddenly leapt out from the bushes. It lunged straight at him and bit the arm holding his crossbow. At that moment, he couldn't believe it, thinking, it set a trap here. But his hand and crossbow were already sent flying. He had nothing in hand yet still had to fight the wolf. Meanwhile, the death necromancer dog mocked, foolish human, how dare you touch the sacred artifact? At that moment, it officially entered the battle, intent on finishing Song Hyan. He quickly realized the terrifying purpose of the death necromancer dog. Just as it opened its mouth wide and declared, I will swallow you whole, Song Hyan activated the Priya crossbow skill and recalled the crossbow. Expressionless, he thought, lucky, then immediately resummoned the Priya crossbow. By now, the crossbow had fully formed in his hands. He attacked while calmly responding, my other hand isn't useless either. The death necromancer dog couldn't believe it and yelled in frustration. But Song Hyan showed no mercy and shouted, die, you mangy dog. After dealing with it, he exhaled in relief, got it done, I'll never repeat this again. Song Hyan used the hemostasis skill while confusedly wondering, where did my wrist roll off to? Kadal picked it up and awkwardly handed it back. Song Hyan accepted it politely. Thanks for finding it, and Kadal replied, I should be the one thanking you. Let me heal your wrist. Surprised, Song Hyan asked, you're a healer? Kadal immediately answered, yes, my name is Kadal. Song Hyan then politely declined, thank you, but I can do it myself. Or maybe you can help that person over there. Suddenly, fragmented cries for help rang out. Help me, please save me. At the same time, he said, I think that person needs your help more. Kadal, hearing this, exclaimed in surprise, is there still someone alive? Yes. Then Song Hyan began his search for Young-ho, and immediately his voice called out, Dr. Kang. Hearing Young-ho, he thoughtfully remarked, it looks like there's someone else who needs help. As Young-ho emerged, he groaned, I thought I was crushed to death, but well, both of us survived. Then Young-ho stared in shock and asked, oh no, your wrist is like that. Song Hyan calmly replied, this is still lucky. Then he added, let's head back to the camp. Young-ho agreed, we should go, but what about this place? How do we handle it? Song Hyan looked calmly in one direction and said, leave it to those guys. At the Ivor Church, dozens of pastors had already arrived on the scene, led by Karn. At the base camp, everyone had entered their own tents. Song Hyan took his injured hand and whispered, first I should adjust the position of my wounded wrist. Then use my mouth to stitch and secure the wound. Even if the stitches are loose, it still holds. Next, I'll quickly sew it up with my other hand. Song Hyan proudly looked at his work. Young-ho lay back relaxed and remarked, you really did it yourself. Why didn't you ask that friend Kadal for help? But Song Hyan disliked that, I hate relying on other healers. Suddenly, someone called from outside, Mr. Kang Song Hyan. The pastors arrived. He put on his coat and said, I'm coming, while Young-ho yawned and said goodbye. I'll take a short nap. The pastors can handle it themselves. Outside, Karnal gently introduced himself. I am Karnal Ishalo from Ivor Church, Hind Village. Song Hyan marveled inwardly, his holy power. His entire presence exudes that he is truly a pastor. He politely replied, very pleased to meet you. I am healer Kang Song Hyan. The pastors accompanying Karnal were startled upon hearing the name, whispering among themselves, is Kang Song Hyan? Oh no, why him? I'm really afraid of that guy. Karnal dropped his polite tone and shouted, silence, please remain orderly. Then he returned to his original composure and said, my apologies. We have heard much about you from Pastor Huey's, though inwardly he thought differently. This is the healer who deceived the highest-ranking pastor of the church. Song Hyan turned to that topic. Oh, is Pastor Huey's well? Carnel silently cursed inwardly. That venomous snake. Song Hyan moved to the main point. Let me be straightforward. Where did those zombie monsters appear? Carnel went ahead to lead the way. Follow me. Meanwhile, people were scattering in panic, and Vasilo had to cover his nose and run because of the stench. Corpses were scattered everywhere, causing the arriving pastors to exclaim, "My God, it's truly a disaster." Although angry, Carnel remained calm and gave orders. Such an event occurring in the Velodo Mountains. Team 1 purges black mana from this area. Team 2 searches around here. Team 3 transfers the bodies to the camp. And finally, Team 4 gathers and incinerates the infected corpses. The pastors obeyed and shouted, "Understood." They used sacred fire to burn the infected monster bodies. Vasilo exclaimed, "This is the first time I've seen the destruction of a zombie. Truly overwhelming." Song Hyan replied calmly, "If they aren't destroyed, these corpses could come back to life." After assigning tasks to the pastors, Carnel turned back and called, "Mr. Kang Song Hyan, could you take a look at these rare undead?" Song Hyan nodded. "Sure." They walked together to inspect the horribly dead zombie corpses. Carnel muttered, "This is terrible." Song Hyan silently agreed. "The stench is awful, but perhaps he's referring to the black mana." After thinking carefully, Carnel said, "I'd like to leave this with the church." Song Hyan looked puzzled. "Leave this?" Carnel explained, "I want to take this corpse back to the church to investigate the primary cause of its appearance. Of course, I don't mean to take it for free. This is holy water created by the Ivor Church, called Dawn Holy Water." Vasilo, amazed, broke out in sweat. "Dawn Holy Water." Song Hyan, equally surprised, asked, "Is it that valuable?" Vasilo explained, "Dawn Holy Water is made by placing clean water in a chapel at sunrise and praying over it for an entire year, requiring great effort and reverence. Even in a bottle, it radiates immense holy power. Just one bottle can purify hundreds, no, thousands of undead." Carnel reiterated, "If you leave this corpse with us, we'll repay you with Dawn Holy Water." Vasilo whispered to Song Hyan, "Money couldn't buy this." Song Hyan smirked inwardly. "Seems fair. I thought I'd lose out when breaking the relic." Carnel personally handed it over. "If you need it, please take it." "Of course I will. Please accept it." Song Hyan took the container of holy water. "Thank you." Carnel hesitated a moment, then spoke earnestly. "I say this on behalf of the Ivor Church in Hind Village. Thank you for diligently hunting these corrupted creatures and defeating them in solitary combat." Carnel and the pastors lined up neatly and bowed together. "We sincerely thank you." Song Hyan smiled warmly. "I just did what needed to be done." The pastors below all thought the same. Even for payment, this zombie would be healed. Song Hyan humbly added, "I'm merely a healer who cannot endure these cunning undead." Early the next morning, as the sun rose, Vasilo suddenly called out in alarm, "Mr. Kang Song Hyan." Song Hyan was startled, his eyes coldly fixed on Riwon. Yet he tried to remain calm. "I am not the type to covet rare items or precious materials." He sat down with a sigh, emphasizing, "I am tired now. I want to rest, not play this exchange game." Riwon smirked, his tone full of challenge. "I did not come here just to give you something ordinary. You want the holy dawn water, but to get it, you must face something that money cannot buy." Song Hyan frowned. "What do you mean?" Riwon sneered. "Space traveler, King Song Hyan, do you mean that I can grant you the power of space?" Song Hyan fell silent, a mixture of shock and curiosity filling him. A series of questions flashed through his mind. Space power. How will the world change if I take it? And why does Riwon know I can use it effectively? He took a deep breath, keeping his composure. "I am not the type to accept something without knowing the consequences." Riwon laughed, his voice both encouraging and challenging. "I trust you are smart enough to know how to use it. But remember, space is never easy, and it never forgives the foolish." Song Hyan stared at Riwon, full of caution, yet part of him was drawn, curious to test himself. He spoke softly. "Fine, if what you say is true, I will accept this challenge." Riwon laughed heartily, pleased. "Yes, space traveler, Kang Song Hyan, prepare yourself. A new adventure, and possibly unprecedented power, awaits you ahead. Vasilo stood beside him, stunned and worried, thinking silently, this will definitely not be simple. Song Hyan lightly shrugged, looking out the window as the morning sun shone through. He knew this was the beginning of an entirely new phase. Riwen spoke as if certain, I am right, aren't I? You are a dimensional traveler from another world. Song Hyan felt a wave of confusion. What he knows about dimensional travelers, how much he knows. Riwen gently swirled the tea in his hand and mocked how shameful it was. Dimensional travelers possess many special abilities, yet because your origins are unclear, you are often treated unfairly. Even if you can prove your abilities, you still cannot achieve a corresponding status. And here, there is even a healer, not yet recognized as an official master healer. Song Hyan forced a smile. What do you mean? Riwen's smile grew more sinister as he seized the opportunity to make an offer. If you hand over the Holy Dawn water, I promise to grant you a healer's badge and ensure that the Husher family will support you. Song Hyan objected, but according to the rules, I cannot become an official master healer. Riwen laughed loudly. Rules? You think those rules can stop Riwen Hersher? You will be honored as a healer by a noble family, and if you accept this condition, you could even become a royal healer. In short, your life will bloom even from adversity. Song Hyan began to waver. I could become a royal healer. Riwen calmly sipped his tea and replied, that is the price worthy of the Holy Dawn water. He felt secretly pleased. If he could get the Holy Dawn water, he could move to a larger, grander place. No longer just this small rural village like Hind. Turning a weirdo like him into an official healer would be as easy as turning his hand. Song Hyan rubbed his chin thoughtfully, then paused for a moment before giving an answer that shocked Riwen completely. I will refuse this offer. Riwen could not believe it and asked again. What, refuse? Song Hyan sighed. Yes, refused. I do not need to bribe anyone just to be recognized, because I am already qualified to be a healer. Inside, Riwen cursed silently. How arrogant. But his mouth still tried to persuade. What about the donation? Is it really easy to get support from the Husher family? Song Hyan smiled brightly. Ah, this matter. From what I heard, you don't have much authority in your own family. Those conditions are not verified at all, so I will refuse. Riwen, struck at his weak point, felt his nerves snap. Riwen flew into a rage. How dare you insult me? He shouted, causing everyone to rush in to restrain him. Calm down, sir. A moment later, Young-ho was surprised, holding a stone in his hand. He exclaimed, are they really that generous? They gave me this as a reward. Song Hyan looked curious and asked, what did you get? Young-ho showed him the stone. It was a bloodstone, an item that enhances attack power. Song Hyan snorted coldly. He actually gave a pretty good item, because earlier I drove Riwen crazy. Did you know? I handled the undead along with a teammate. He will reward you for that, right? He looked at the stone, nodded, and smiled at Young-ho. That's a good item. Suddenly, an emergency alarm rang. Warning, monsters are attacking from the south, from the north and west as well. Monsters are approaching. Adventurers, please join the defense of the camp. Everyone hurriedly rushed out. Here they come again. We have to stop them to protect the village. Song Hyan quickly followed. Let's go. The wolves frenziedly attacked the adventurers, but before they could strike, they were shot through the head. The projectile was Song Hyan's crafted stone arrow, and at that moment he was standing on a tree. Young-ho held tightly the stone he had just been given, thinking, compared to what we went through yesterday. He gripped the stone so tightly that it drew blood, using the blood surge skill to increase attack damage for a certain period. Young-ho excitedly activated the skill and charged at the monsters. This wave is too simple. Song Hyan's gaze suddenly turned cold, staring intently behind him. An adventurer was being attacked by a monster much larger than the ones before. It roared fearsomely at the adventurers, and everyone realized, boss monster. Shoot it, attack. This is the last one. Move forward. Everyone attacked simultaneously, but the monster countered with its claws. All the arrows and spears had no effect on it. Young-ho became worried. I don't think stone arrows will work on it. Song Hyan immediately rushed out. That's why I prepared this. He took out Priya's pouch and crafted mole claw metal arrows. Song Hyan quickly shot an arrow into the monster's head, causing it to roar in pain, and immediately urged Young-ho, the arrow piercing its skin, to aim there. Young-ho didn't hesitate and slashed straight at the monster's neck. Seeing that the monster no longer defended itself, he shouted, "Dr. Kang, now!" Song Hyan swiftly rose into the air, leaving the ground behind. He hovered in midair, the surroundings seeming to freeze. Song Hyan drew a sharp cleaver and used the throw skill. One strike hit the monster's neck, making it roar. After the earth-shaking sound, it collapsed and died, and Song Hyan returned to the ground amid everyone's cheers. "We did it. We've protected the village." The speakers rang with congratulations, adventurers. "Well done." Everyone crowded around to praise. The final attack was amazing. That was the group that dealt with the rare necromancer monster, right? Young-ho beamed proudly, truly satisfied. "We've become heroes." He urged, "Doctor, what are you doing? Let's go." But Song Hyan didn't move immediately and replied, "I've earned quite a lot of points." Young-ho intended to stop him. "Are you planning to use them?" "Stop. The spin won't bring anything good." Song Hyan refused. "Who knows, maybe I'll get lucky." Young-ho didn't let it go. "I bet 100,000 gold you'll just get some trash." As expected, the spin results disappointed Song Hyan, adding one arrowhead, an arrow shaft, a wooden arrow, damage increased. Seeing the results, he frowned and said nothing. Young-ho patted his shoulder. "Didn't I tell you?" Vasilo rushed over. "Wait, Mr. Kang Song Hyan, Mr. Kim Young-ho." Song Hyan stopped. "Ah, Vasilo, what's the matter?" Vasilo, panting, said, "Thanks. We managed to prevent a great disaster thanks to the two of you. Thank you very much." Song Hyan waved his hand. "It's nothing. But why didn't they relocate the camp?" Vasilo explained, "Until the priests finish their survey, the departure time will be postponed. And here is a special reward the camp gives to both of you." Young-ho was so surprised he nearly dropped his glasses when he saw the honey wine voucher. That night, the two of them went to the tavern. Inside, everyone was shouting, "Cheers." Young-ho happily took a sip, "And I came to drink to celebrate our success." Song Hyan laughed. "I didn't expect them to give us this. I heard all the staff in the camp are from Hind Village." Young-ho, drinking, replied cheerfully, "Mostly, they are outsiders, right?" While the two of them were chatting, Ruth approached. He called out, "Doctor, healer Kang Song Hyan." Song Hyan heard his name, looked up. He was. Song Hyan seemed to recognize the person in front of him. "You're Ruth, right?" He smiled brightly. "I didn't expect to meet you here." Young-ho turned to ask Song Hyan, "Is he an acquaintance of yours?" Song Hyan smiled politely and replied, "Oh, he's a patient I treated just a few days ago." Ruth cheerfully thanked him. "I was really helped very thoroughly. Oh, doctor, here's the treatment fee. I didn't get a chance to pay you yet." Song Hyan was surprised. "I completely forgot." He took the bag and then suddenly remembered something he had forgotten. "Oh, right. I'll also return the sword I held for you last time." Seeing his sword, Ruth exclaimed, "Oh, wow." He hugged the sword tightly, so happy that tears fell. "My beloved Kiers, oh, I missed you so much." Young-ho whispered, "Is his mind normal?" Song Hyan shook his head. "I give up on that." Then the three of them sat down at a table. Ruth asked, "So you two have been in the camp all the way until today?" Song Hyan inquired back. "And you, are you resting after finishing your contract?" Ruth nodded and continued, "If you have time, you could try taking a look." He said this while taking out a piece of paper and placing it in front of Song Hyan, who looked and exclaimed, "An invitation to join a group." Ruth then clarified the situation. "Recently near Hind Village, a teleportation gate into a dungeon has appeared. The villagers said they planned to explore it in 3 days, so my cousin invited me to join the group there. But I still have unpaid debts, so I can't go." Young-ho laughed and teased him. "A life lesson. Never borrow from the guild, even if you starve." Song Hyan shrugged and asked, "So what do we do now?" The dungeon conquest rewards sound pretty attractive. Young-ho quickly replied, I'm fine with it, let's go. Ruth, hearing this, smiled even brighter. Oh, thank you both so much. Inside he felt relieved. If it's them, I can fully trust them. But in Ruth's mind, he imagined Song Hyeon laughing mockingly. Do you know how hilarious it would be to see scumbags like you begging me for help? Ruth had to reassure himself it should be fine. So 3 days later, Young-ho spoke up. Dr. Kang, are you all set? Song Hyeon replied, yes, my wrist hasn't fully healed yet, but I'm ready to claim the 100,000 gold coins reward. Young-ho widened his eyes. What? He just realized and cursed in shock. Seeing the Freya Arrow Recall display, Young-ho was even more astonished. You already got it. Song Hyeon explained. Yesterday I met Kadal, and he blessed my hand with something. Young-ho asked if he was a follower of Nakamate or something. Song Hyeon rubbed his chin proudly. That's why my luck skyrocketed like this. I was wondering if it would work, but now it's clear. Young-ho slumped. Impossible. Song Hyeon urged, stop joking, pull yourself together and let's go. The two quickly arrived at Hackart Hill. Tina excitedly ran out to greet them. Hello, I'm Tina Putin. I've heard about you two from Ruth. Song Hyeon shook hands and introduced, I'm healer Kang Song Hyeon, and this is tanker Kim Young-ho. Tina saw Young-ho dazed and became a bit worried. His expression looked a little off, but Song Hyeon waved it off. Don't worry about it. Lakramati stood not far away and teased, that's a healer, really? Sahita hid behind him timidly. The person standing there, his holy power is at the bottom. Shuire pointed at Young-ho. That person is strange too. What tanker wears a cloak like that? Young-ho was startled. How am I supposed to dress then? My clothes have their own value. Isle stepped out from somewhere to reassure everyone. Calm down, everyone. They came here to help us, so mind your behavior a little. By the way, my name is Isle. Young-ho praised me. This one seems a bit more reasonable. You look sharp. Are you the leader? Lakramati snapped, making him sweat. I'm the leader here. All right, if everyone is here, let's go. Then they all stepped into the circle of the teleportation gate. A dazzling blue light shone straight down. Song Hyeon had to shield his eyes because it was too bright. Immediately, everyone was transported to another place. Although it was a bit dark at first, Song Hyeon quickly realized it was an ancient dungeon. Shuire raised her hand, creating a large orb of light and shouted, illuminate. She led the way with that light through the dungeon. Song Hyeon followed behind, silently observing everything around him. This place is in terrible disrepair. Normally, worn stone is caused by weathering or water, right? But since this is deep inside a ruin, it can't be due to weathering. Yet I also don't sense any warmth at all. Song Hyeon considered a more frightening possibility. Could it be dark magic? He then asked, Lakramati, you said you're a warrior, but you also know healing, right? Young-ho quickly corrected him. Then it should be called physical therapy. Lakramati flailed. Oh my, I'm a cleric. A cleric? Sahita, still hiding behind, thought to herself. I still don't see the holy power user reacting much. But before anyone could answer Song Hyeon, he widened his eyes. In front of them appeared a horde of enormous monsters. Someone shouted, giant scarab beetles. Shuire immediately attacked, her face showing disgust. Disgusting. Her powerful strike destroyed quite a few beetles. Tina and Young-ho joined forces to knock back some of the beetles, but they didn't lessen in number. Instead, they flew even more aggressively. Everyone screamed, this is terrifying. The beetles, sensing a rich prey, flew straight toward Lakramati. They attacked from all directions, leaving Lakramati and Sahita unable to react. Isle shouted, there are too many of them. We can't kill them all. Someone clear a path straight ahead and let's get out of here. Song Hyeon hurriedly asked, Shuire, do you know how to use wind magic? She dodged the beetles and replied, yes, so what? Song Hyeon immediately activated his water dust skill.